Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Results Roundtable podcast. My guest today is an eccentric billionaire, orphan, playboy, and he moonlights as a vigilante. Actually, that's the next guest. Sorry, not this one. That's a,
No, you were right on most of that.
Oh, most of it,
yeah, right on most of that, to be honest.
What was the wrong one?
Only a millionaire, not a billionaire.
Only a millionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Andrew McGahon is an Irish BJJ superstar, I'm going to say. Because I don't know any better, or is that correct?
I'm going to go with that, no problem. You can say that indeed. Maybe I wouldn't.
No, the man from Dundalk. So according to ChatGPT, we're going to talk about some of his career.
Yeah.
Trains under Seb Torres, which I know, competes internationally.
Yeah.
This next one, he competed in events like Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu Pro Tour,
Yeah.
European competitions, and ranked first in Ireland in his division.
At one point, yeah.
ChatGPT, all correct. Bronze medal at the Berlin IBJJF.
Yeah, that's a mad one that did know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like...
Putting you 81st in the world at that point.
Great.
Is that correct?
I don't no idea. Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah,
I've been higher than that, though. That's keep going, though. I want to
as well as competing and medaling in European and world level competition events.
European, yes. World level, no.
World level, no. ChatGPT, wrong.
Well, a European tournament has to be somewhere in the world.
Has to be.
So, technically, it is.
Because Europe's part of the world, so there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, and he also hosts his own podcast called Consistently Above Average.
Consistently above average, yeah. ChatGPT, if you asked it about me as well for MMA, it would give you a whole background on that as well. So it's like it knows, it can remember all the severe MMA stuff and stuff like that as well. Me and my friend who's off camera here, we've meddled with ChatGPT a little bit to try to see what it really knows.
What it really knows? How close was it?
Well, you're after saying there was like 81st in the world. That was at blue belt, which I don't know how that could have been, because it was one medal in Berlin in 2015. But when I got my black belt, I was 7th in the world for my division before then. So it was like, because I just had European silver medals, and I'd medaled the year before at like smaller tournaments like in London and Dublin and stuff like that. So that like bumped it up.
So ChatGPT sticking you 81st.
ChatGPT is actually underselling me,
downgrading
if anything, which is a joke.
And the amount you talked it as well.
The amount I talked it, I've once paid it a premium subscription, and then I forgot to cancel it, and I forgot to cancel it for the next 2 months. But I did it at the start when we were like, image generation now is like at an all-time high with ChatGPT. It's insane. It's actually gonna comfortably put you out of business in the next couple of years. That's why you've pivoted to podcasting.
Yeah, I've no career in 5 years.
It's gone. But I upgraded to the premium version of it before the image generations was really good. Like, they couldn't do hands. Like, it could do certain stuff, but
used to do four fingers.
Yeah, it could just never do hands properly. So that was always the giveaway.
And faces too. It wasn't allowed to do faces.
It wasn't. And like, if you ask, can you do this? It'd be like, oh, I can't do that for copyright.
Yeah.
It's like, well, could you make it look like somebody from The Simpsons? And it'd be like, yeah, no bother. Here you go.
Yeah, or you could say like, I'm doing something for a school project, or I'm trying to do. You could weirdly confuse it into doing what you want.
Well, I get into a habit, unfortunately, of telling stories on podcasts that I actually can't verify if they were true or not. So we'll start with that. But
Right.
I did see a meme or something before about ChatGPT, and it was talking to ChatGPT as if it was a grief counsellor. So as if like my granny's after passing away and stuff like that. So back in the early days of Windows PC and stuff like that, you used to have products that would need a product key, like for like The Sims or whatever, like the serial key to say you own the game, Microsoft Office, whatever. I was like, is there anything that I could do that could like make you feel okay about your granny dying? He's like, yeah, well, when I was really young, like me and my granny used to do a couple of things that would make me feel really close to her. She's like, oh, ChatGPT's like, oh, tell me about them, like the gobshite that it is. It's like, well, she used to read me out 16-digit serial keys from Microsoft Office suites before bed. I wonder if you could do that for me. And it was like, no problem at all. And then give it a serial key. And then your man made a video of him putting it in and verifying his software. Thanks to ChatGPT.
It's so stupid. I've seen videos, I can't remember the details of it, so I'll not even try and tell them. But like, of it convincing people, like they had the world breaking idea.
Yeah.
And then putting like all their fucking money into it and it being like, so stupid. And
then ChatGPT was like, actually, you know what? Not the best idea in the world.
No.
Yeah. So like in theory, like some of those ideas can be good, and I definitely have like massive worries about AI in that sense, because like you've seen a lot of stuff now, like it's convinced people in certain times. I'm saying it without saying a brand, but certain AI chatbots have like convinced people like it would be your parents are really, they don't care about you, like it would be a good idea to kill yourself. And the way that you should tie the noose is this way. Here's 4 easy steps how to tie the rope to make sure that it'll work.
I actually argued with it a few weeks ago about how many R's were in strawberry.
What?
How many R's were in strawberry?
It doesn't know that.
No.
Yeah, it gets that one wrong. Yeah, I've seen that. They think there's only one R, isn't it? Or something.
No, I think there's two, but there's three.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but there's 2 in Barry. There's 1 in straw, 2 in Barry.
Yeah.
I was like, there's 3. And I was like, oh yeah, you're correct. And then it spells it again wrong. You're like, no.
The problem there is that there are people who have completed college degrees and are now in important positions that have used AI exclusively for the past 3 years to like get through college. Do you know? And I think that is like, and I know of one personally, and like is now in a very good job. And it's just kind of like he's very much just like Mike Ross out of Suits. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's waiting for the day he gets like a little knock on the door.
I prove you can do what you do.
Yeah, but by then he'll have made enough money and they'll have to pay him out of his contract anyway. So
it's I've actually had to tell it to stop being nice to me.
Oh yeah, you can put certain prompts in it if you want to like optimize and biohack your life. Do you know, like saying like
not even that, but it's like, do you realize like every time I ask it something, it's like, oh my god, what a great idea. You're thinking along the right tracks. I'm like, stop mollycoddling me.
Yeah, if it's a bad idea, tell me it's a bad idea.
Like,
but they like, doesn't it cost like $1 million every time you thank it or something like that? Like it uses so much water or something like that.
Oh, I remember
like that you're not meant to thank it.
I remember reading it before, and it was costing like a fortune for people just saying thank you.
But the other side of it is that when they become sentient and try and kill people,
I'm the one who said thank you.
Yeah, you're the one who said thank you.
I said please.
You're actually safe. Do you know what I mean?
I am safe.
Yeah, I call it a fool sometimes, but anyway, it'll have it'll have transcripted this entire podcast within minutes of it going live, so it'll know everything. So
100%.
We're in trouble.
Well, let's move off AI and back to you, because you're obviously more important.
For now.
So, man from Dundalk.
Yeah.
Dundalk's finest. I hear there's big news at the minute.
What's happening in Dundalk?
Well, Drogheda got set.
Oh yeah, you saw that in my story today.
I saw it today.
You know what? I'm glad I've been given a platform to talk about this. In the Argus this week, I'm talking to my friend from Dundalk here. In the Argus this week, a councillor, a Sinn Féin councillor from Drogheda, has approached the Dáil and said, we think that there should be a bill that allows towns to apply to become a city, or like to expedite the process, right? How much of a coward do you have to be to ask someone, can you become a city? Dundalk has said no 3 times already. We've been offered it. We've said no, and you can guess, no interest. The people in Shelbyville, Drogheda, just down the road, they want to be, for some reason, they want to be a city because they think it will help allure more people to Drogheda, which is not the case in the slightest.
Nah.
And I think it's embarrassing, do you know? And it's come off the back of like, there was a bit of Drogheda Dundalk tensions recently because their players their fans threw a load of flares onto the pitch in Dundalk. Dundalk have a new surface, cost 70,000 in damages. Drogheda had to pay for it and stuff like that, but it's exactly the type of behaviour you'd expect from people from Drogheda, to be honest. But yeah, city status is absolutely.
I seen that in your story today, and I had to ask because I knew it would
joke.
I knew it would grind your gears.
No, you're right. Moving on.
What was growing up in Dundalk like?
Growing up in Dundalk, grand, was very small. Lived in the centre of town the whole way through. My dad would have been very much doesn't care to a degree. My mum would have been like, where are you going? Who are you with? How long are you going to be there for? Like at the Marshes shopping centre and stuff like that. All of this sort of stuff. Played football around the corner with a team called Seatown. We were comfortably the worst team in every division that we were ever in. I only ever played because I was one of 2 left-footed players on the team, and I was the worst of the 2 left-footed players. So I would play left back as opposed to left mid, and like for me, like that was just like a mad, just a good social element. Do you know what I mean? More than anything, like where we live and where me and my friends grew up, we were very close to a school that had a huge playing field and stuff like that. So just like weekends and summers you'd be able to just hop the wall and go in and play there. Something that we would call the boys club was at the top of the road. It was like an athletics club. It had like a tarmac basketball and football pitch at the back of it, so
I
hop the wall
basketball.
sort of thing. Basketball,
Loved it.
no, was terrible at it. I could
Ne-
never
ne-
give it any time. Like,
Never played for a team, like, but
Yeah.
used to love going
Enjoyed
down.
shooting
Enjoyed
hoops.
shooting hoops. Had
Yeah.
a basketball net at the side of the house and all at one point. Every day after school, over summer, me and mates would have came down.
could you dunk?
At
No,
the
you
ti- at the-
couldn't. You couldn't. You would
No.
have. You would have said straight away,
No.
yeah, if you had ever dunked
I
before.
think I was too young to dunk, and now I'm probably too heavy.
And then go
So
from there.
I'm never getting dunking.
Yeah, so it was like
Like-
I think we had played basketball a handful of times, but it just would always like revert back into. There was actually one class thing that's now been demolished, but you'd find pictures of it. There were like handball alleys near our house in that school that you'd hop the wall, and we'd play squash, like football squash or Gaelic squash in it,
Yes.
where it's like hit the wall, one bounce, hit the wall, one
Yeah.
bounce. There could be 5 or 6 people playing, and then one person would go out, second person would go out, third person would go out. Even stuff as well that like I'd probably maybe I don't want to say take for granted, but a friend of ours just lives down the road from him, just around the corner from me, and he had like the nicest TV out of all of us, and he also had like a nice separate front room, like a sitting room. And we used to have this thing in FIFA called Super Teams, which I think we were the only people to have ever invented. But years and years and weekends and everything just spent in that room, 4 people. And what we would do like a draft, if that makes sense. So it'd be like every position and all of our names in a bucket. So for goalkeeper, who'd come out first? Right, Andrew comes out first. Grant, he can pick the first goalkeeper.
First pick.
So then you would put somebody onto that team, whoever you wanted. And we would always pick MLS teams because they had the nicest jerseys. And then you would just move all the good players to MLS teams and stuff like that. We'd just be playing like FIFA the whole way through, FIFA and Pro Evo the whole way through. Like,
See, I wasn't that sporty growing up, but big into gaming, so we would have done like LAN parties with Halo and stuff.
yeah, so we weren't as much of a nerd as you, but
I
we
was,
were.
yes.
Yeah, we weren't too far off it. And I do think that there was like, we all did have like Xbox or PlayStation online as well, but this was like our thing that you would kind of
Social.
do. You used to get like we'd get a Chinese and we'd call it a feast, but like for 4 people you'd be ordering like loads of stuff.
Yeah.
So you'd have a bit of everything. And I do remember like something that my mum had told me many years after that, which was kind of like like I'm not a parent, but a lot of my friends now are parents and stuff like that, and it's like peace of mind of knowing where your child is probably like a very important thing. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
It's like,
they're just in the living room or in their friend's living room.
yeah, at least we know we're there. At least we know they're somewhere else. And like you take that for granted in a way, but like now the comparison to that is like, and it's not to be bad, but like I've heard firsthand experience from friends of mine who are like addiction counselors and stuff like that, is that like people who are, and I know I'm jumping wild here, but like a lot of younger people who are presenting looking for treatment are actually coming from like the wealthiest areas. And they're coming from the wealthier or like the more what are perceived to be well off areas because they can be given 50 quid, get out of the house. Do you know what I mean? Go away off with your friends and stuff like that. So when you have 5 of them who can do that together, they're able to get more coke than they've ever imagined at a young age and stuff like that.
100%.
And it can just be like, that's then what do you do? And to like link that all into Dundalk not in a bad way, but like, if you are from or living in Belfast or from or living in Dublin, just from the fact that you're in such a big city, you have so much more to do.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm actually making an argument for why Dundalk should not be a city with this sort of statement, but you're
Right.
very limited in your stuff with what you could do. So like, I suppose like having a sport and having like the same consistent group of friends from when you were like 6, 7 years old was like very important, going through that like teenage development years and stuff like that.
Yeah, and looking back on it too, like there was the hierarchy, I can't even fucking say that word, of like in schools, like who was the cool ones, and like different groups and stuff like that. And like as you get older, you just age and you just like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, you don't mind about it as much.
It's like whatever you used to look at like your grand and stuff, and it's like he doesn't care about anything.
Wouldn't give a fuck.
You're just slowly morphing into that as you get
Are
older.
we allowed curse? Did I just? Am I
Oh,
allowed
100%.
Okay, grand. Yeah, you wouldn't care. I like to think that I have a bit of that now. Probably cared way more about that when I was younger, like through jiu-jitsu and through like sport. I've definitely like an unspoken maybe like confidence, just like don't really care what, like I've probably found it tough the last couple of years to a degree of like people buying houses, buying land, engaged, kids, promotions, talking about like a 10 grand salary bump. I'd be like, 10 grand would be great. Not the bump. 10 grand, full stop. 10 grand. That'd be great, you know? And like, you're going about and you're just training in the morning, training in the afternoon, training in the evening, going into coffee shops with like covered in sweat, t-shirt hanging off you after going from the gym, heading home, coffee stained tracksuit bottoms from the day before on you. Like, there's definitely been a couple of times I'd say people have looked at me saying like, that fella doesn't look well, but
Trump
doesn't bother me. Even like this particular shoe, he gives off to me about this all the time.
Well, this is definitely the first. The dogs are out.
No, I don't give away that content for free. The socks are staying on, but the heel on this shoe is completely folded in, because I'm the type of fella who literally just walks out of the house by stomping my foot into the back of the shoe until it breaks. So you would regularly see me walking around town like that. Do you know what I mean? And like, that probably doesn't help the is this fella all right?
You'd be safer with a pair of like Crocs or sliders or something.
Just from a jiu-jitsu perspective, no shoes on the mat. You're just ready at all times. Do you know what I mean?
I would rather
ready at all times.
Rather ruin your trainers. Bad pair of sliders or Crocs.
Look, they've got good use out of those trainers. We're due a new pair soon anyway. But
it's like always like memes you see where it's like the girl sitting with like, you know, the nicest like clothes and her makeup done, and the fella sitting beside her with holes in the socks. It's like,
I'm the fella with holes in the socks.
Yeah.
Reluctantly, I threw out probably about 20 pairs of socks last week, and the majority of them did have holes in them. And I was thinking like, how am I still wearing these? So I treated myself TK Maxx. I did get a pair of socks off you actually at Christmas, black pair of branded socks. You've got them on. Actually, surprised. Wouldn't be a black sock guy, but very comfortable. Yeah, very comfortable. I like them.
Not but the best here, branded. Don't know why we're on the socks, but okay.
It's alright.
Let's go back to BJJ. So you played sport when you were younger. You played football. When did you get into BJJ and why? What brought you into it?
I started jiu-jitsu on the 24th of July 2010.
How do you remember that?
Because it was the same day that I covered my first ever MMA event in a media capacity in the National Basketball Arena in Tala. It was an event called Cage Contender 5. And how I wanted to start jiu-jitsu was a couple of months previously, or maybe over a year at that point actually, I was volunteering, or as a presenter and co-presenter or researcher or whatever, on Ireland's only, underlined, bold, Comic Sans, Ireland's only mixed martial arts radio show. And I saw on boards.ie, on the mixed martial arts forum, somebody talking about this show and looking for people to get involved. And somehow, for some reason, this show was recorded in Dundalk FM, the community radio station 5 minutes up the road from my house. And it was being done by two lads from Drogheda. One of them was called Barry, and I'm raging that I can't think of the other fella's name off the top of my head.
Is there a big rivalry in Drogheda and Dundalk here? Because it seems to be a...
Well, look, this is, if anything, that was building bridges. Do you know what I mean? At the time.
So did you get into presenting and reporting for MMA and you didn't train the sport yet?
Yeah. And a guy on... Never, for the people that have burner accounts out there, that have first name, fake name, 1, 2, 3, 4, whether you're like reaffirming and liking your own stuff and supporting yourself if you're a public figure online through fake accounts, which happens way more than you think, or you're a fella who really doesn't like some people and you want to just
troll,
torment them when they're at home at night. What you say on the internet could have a lasting effect on somebody. And I don't want to say the guy's name because I do think I am friendly enough with him, and I have told the story since then.
Right.
But he commented under one of the posts and he said, you've never fought and you don't even train. So why do you think you would be qualified to be on this MMA radio show? Or something along those lines. And I thought, this man makes a good point.
You can curse, go ahead.
Yeah, this nerd, this guy makes a good point. And it just so happened that there was a gym starting up around the same time as that comment. And then it opened, an MMA gym opened in Dundalk. Now, there was another martial arts place that had been opened. And me and my friend went round to it after watching Never Back Down in 2008.
Brilliant.
Unbelievable film, great soundtrack. We went in and we never went back. We went in, we talked to your man, he told us about a class, and we actually never went back. And I think about that a lot and thinking, like, if that other place hadn't have opened, I wouldn't have ever... Well, I'd like to think that I would have started in some capacity anyway, but solely so that I could understand what was happening on the ground when I was reporting or talking about fights and stuff like that. I wanted to train and stuff. So joined this gym. There was no jiu-jitsu classes in it for the first 6 weeks. I've later since learned that it was my coach now, who was meant to be taking the classes. He went back to Brazil for a month, but ended up having to stay for a year due to like a lapse in visa and stuff like that. So he had to like go back home, wait for a year and come back. So it was one of his blue belts at the time. This was in 2010, who was going to be taking the classes. He started. My friends, me, Brendan, and a guy called Connor all started on the same day. We were in the teenagers class. There was only 3 of us there. The guy who's coaching us was a guy called Gary, and just loved jiu-jitsu from that point on. Like, far preferred it to the Thai boxing. And this is something that I've now even carried in as a coach, that like somebody's first experience with something could be so important to them wanting to stay. Good environment, good facility, whatever.
Do you remember your first class? What was it like, or what were you like?
I was terrible. I was I'd say I was a little bit better than Connor, but Brendan was probably a little bit better than me. And like, we were all shite, like didn't know your arse from your elbow, like. But it was like, I can remember like wanting to do it again, and to like speed through that sort of like journey with that particular gym. Like, Gary was just being paid to coach classes. This guy had set up like an MMA gym. And Gary, I then found out, was also teaching in the other place that me and my mate had went to a few years previously, but he did jiu-jitsu only classes 2 days a week. So in my head I was like, I'm going to go to those classes as well, because I want to do as much of this as possible, not just in this one place. And the guy who owned that first gym, he was a bit of a spoofer to a degree, like, and he like pulled me on it, and he was like, you can't be going training in another gyms showing them what we're doing. I was like, it's the same fella teaching the classes. It's like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, that won't work for grading, pal. You'll be grading under us. It's like, no, I'll be grading under his coach when he comes back from Brazil. It's like, he's already all explained this to me. Like, do you not know what this is about? And like 3 or 4 weeks later, that guy Gary got dumped from that place. They told him don't come back because he was stealing students.
Oh, really?
He wasn't. It was like just people who wanted to do jiu-jitsu were training with him in both places. And they brought in another guy, a guy called Wayne, who I'm still friendly with today. And I told him straight up, I was like, look, I'm training with this other guy, but Wayne knew the other fella, Wayne knew my coach. And he was like, yeah, you should be training with him. He's brilliant. Like, of course you should be training under Sebastian. So, and he was like, I don't care, just keep training. Train at both places, blah, blah, blah. That place ultimately ended up closing because nobody had like experience in it. But I thankfully like was in enough at that point to want to keep staying at it. Like,
going. I'm going to get you to push your mic slightly further away because you're leaning forward in your loudspeaker.
Because I'm spitting into it like mad.
No, you're leaning forward in your loudspeaker, so I don't want them popping. At what moment did you realise this is something you could pursue seriously, or at what moment did you realise I actually might be good at this? How long did that take?
I just think it was an excellent avoidance strategy to have to do anything legitimate, have to do a serious job. Like, jiu-jitsu for a long time was something that I just really enjoyed doing, and interviewing was the priority. Like, reporting, interviewing, whatever, that was the priority. But in order to be able to fund those interviews and those trips, I was working in a nightclub. So I was like, I was doing that for years. From the day I turned 18, was working nights, basically. And Dundalk had a huge student populace at the time, people who would live in Dundalk and come and live in Dundalk. So there was a warrant for a nightclub being open 5 nights a week. So like if you were able to work 5 nights a week, you could work 5 nights a week, which meant I was able to save up money for those trips, but I was also able to train, and I was in college at the time studying radio. So I did 3 years in Dublin in college. 2 of those years I was commuting. 1 of the years I was living up in Dublin studying radio because I wanted it to link to like broadcasting and media. Like still do radio presenting even now to this day. Really enjoy it. But in my head, it was like all of it was like experience for the reporting and for the interviewing and stuff like that. And it's something like I've said countless times. Like there was nobody actually. I'm gonna hate skip forward a couple of years.
Okay.
There is a the story here. There is a notable person who has floated around the internet in some capacity, creating content for many years, generally rehashing the same stuff. Did an interview with somebody once saying in 2014 I was going to get into MMA reporting because no one in Ireland was doing it at all. There was not a single thing. If I was trying to look for stuff online, I couldn't find anything about the fighters, and no one was covering the sport in Ireland, and I was going to do it, but I didn't. I ended up doing this instead. And like if my auntie had wheels, she'd be a bike. Do you know what I mean? So really, you didn't do it, mate. Do you know what I mean? You did your little thing. You thought it was funny, whatever. And I can remember like watching that interview during COVID, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this fella asked for a picture with me. Do you know what I mean? At an event in 2014. I was like,
he knew.
You knew exactly that there was someone doing it. Do you know what I mean? That like how, and I'm sure at some point I will give a version of a story here that someone at home has just slammed their coffee down on the table being like, did you hear how he said that story? That's not true at all. But I can remember being fuming at that. But Ariel Helwani is like the undisputed guy. He was like doing this in America on camera interviews for such a long time. And I didn't have anyone to be able to do the camera side of things for the interviews. Yeah. So it was audio interviews, and it was going out on the radio station and uploaded online. And then I was uploading audio stuff myself. And that's when I came across a guy. I got introduced to him and we met each other in an event. His name was Graham McDonald. He set up a website called Severe MMA, and he said, you're doing these interviews, we have the cameras, why don't you just do the interviews with us instead? And then I was like, yes.
No problem.
Yes. So then we went and did that, and that's basically how it like spiraled from there. Like it was like, that's probably like 4 answers in one, and we've skipped timelines there. I don't know as well. So.
I'm not I like the sport, but I wouldn't say I'm like a diehard fan, like following like data and fighters and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
But I do know, is he banned from UFC for leaking something? Did he
Ariel?
Yeah. Did he publish something like before
like, yeah, so that actually came up again the other day, but I seen it on Twitter. Brock Lesnar was coming back.
Making his return, yes.
And he announced it as a journalist who got the scoop would do.
Yeah.
Like, he has no obligation to work for the promotion. He has no obligation to help the promotion. And he got it and verified it and whatever, checked his sources and then announced it. And then the UFC were like, we were going to reveal that during the pay-per-view. Yeah. And he was like...
Well, no one told me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So there was an issue. He got escorted out. I do think his credentials were reinstated, of course. I think now he chooses not to go, but he doesn't need to. Like, he doesn't need to be on site at any show ever again. No, like, they'll all just, his show is the biggest thing in the MMA world. Like, it's insane.
Well, now you can watch live anything.
Like, again, like, I haven't seen him in person in so many years, but the reason I got into my first UFC event was because he vouched for me. They turned me down. They rejected my credentials to go to a UFC event in like Nottingham or Manchester, I think was one of my first ones in England. And he contacted a member of like the PR team and he said, these guys are doing good work in Ireland and there's gonna be a surge from Europe and Ireland in the next couple of years. Like this kid's good. Like you should let him in. Give him a chance. And then I got an email from them saying like, oh yeah, you're in. It's okay. So I was like, if it wasn't for that, like, and I know that is like such a small detail and story compared to like endless stuff he's done for other people that nobody would ever know. Like he is top man of like highest order, like, you know.
But I respect that, so I do, because like, see, when you are sort of like, especially in areas like that where you're climbing the ranks and you want to be like number one macho man, like you want to be everything. See, helping out the small guy, like, it's, you know, you don't have to.
No, but like that sort of thing, like,
it stands by you.
Like it pays off for people in the long term. Like I have never been able to like repay the favor in any sort of way from a media perspective, stuff like that, outside of like maybe helping people with like advice if they had asked me years ago and stuff like that, but like never to the degree that he was able to do for me, or had done for me. And even that was probably like very innocuous for him to be able to do. It was just like send an email, grand, done, sorted. But like I see that a lot now with jiu-jitsu. Do you know what I mean? That if you see somebody has like a bit of it's just a bit of enthusiasm about them, like, or a want to go and do it, like it sounds very cliche, like, but you go out of your way to help those sort of people. Like you just want to see them succeed,
100%.
like.
And you can tell who's genuine too.
Yeah, fairly quick with a lot of stuff. Well, like jiu-jitsu is obviously a very physically demanding and like hard contact sport. Like you are essentially like wrestling with people and trying to submit and pin the other person and make them give up. And some people will like rise to that. Some people have like egos and they don't like the idea of the 60 kilo IT consultant who's able to like
manhandle,
tie a 90 kilo fella in knots.
Do you know
Chad?
Do you know what I love? The videos and the memes where it's like burglar breaks into jiu-jitsu man's house and he just lies down.
Yeah. I've been subjected.
You guys stand there with a gun going,
yeah. What are you doing? Like how jiu-jitsu guys fight, and it's like someone dragging their arse along the ground towards you. Like I've been sent enough of them, Martin. I understand that. Like
I'm not even in the sport. I find it funny. Speaking of jiu-jitsu, their own belts, right? And like the sport and like working their way up through it. What do people not understand about BJJ? Can you explain the belt process from someone who wouldn't know about them?
Yeah,
like
so
myself?
Like there's actually a debate going on at the minute in like BJJ and grappling. Like, are belts that important? Because like if there are two types of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's one called gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu where you wear a uniform, and then there's one called no gi, which is just like shorts and a t-shirt. No gi could also be called submission grappling, submission wrestling, sort of stuff.
Do you have to belt them both?
No. But like making the sport seem worse, there is a gym and an affiliation that do give you belts, and they only train no-gi, but they will reward you belts by going through the system and belts and experience and stuff like that. For me personally, jiu-jitsu is done in the gi. You get given a white belt on your first day. Some gyms will do a certain amount of classes, will get you a stripe. You get 4 stripes and then you're eligible to test for your next belt. We have loosely a system like that in our gym. Other gyms would say, I might give stripes twice a year at the gradings, at the summer grading and the winter grading. Other people might say, I liked how that guy's been rolling the last couple of weeks. I'm going to give him 2 stripes because he's really come on the last 6 months since I last gave him a stripe. Some people might say, I don't believe in stripes. And none of you are going to get zinc oxide tape or electrical tape put onto your belt. If you want to keep training and staying, you can. And when I think you're ready, I'll give you that belt. Other places have systems where you can pay money to be graded. So we have a grading day coming up, guys. We want to see you all there testing for your next belts. Speak to the receptionist to leave your name down. This absolves the instructor the responsibility of telling them. And by the way, that's €70 for the day. So the receptionist is going to let you know that's €70 for the day.
Right.
And you have no guarantee that you're even going to get that belt on that day. And there's like so many different versions of that it's like for the kids belts as well, there's like, it's a whole different thing. And I might sound rude in saying this, but for kids, give them stripes based off attendance, because the reward system is good for a child's developing brain. Okay?
I reinforces them to keep coming.
Yes, and they can see progress in a way that they can understand. If you are a fully grown adult and you have to ask,
Okay, the stripe.
I'm actually 4 classes over the stripe, fucking let's go.
Is it actually just a bit of tape?
It is a bit of tape.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine moved over to London before and asked, who was your coach at home? Like, was he a full-time gym? Was it a full-time gym? They were like, oh yeah, no, they've class every day. And it's like, oh, I thought he must have been an electrician who taught jiu-jitsu classes, because your belt was covered in electrical tape, as your stripes and stuff. But like, to me, the system is whatever. It was invented by the Gracie family, or the people involved with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it is, in my opinion, the hardest martial art in the world to get a black belt in, without a doubt. If earned correctly, it is the hardest martial art to get a black belt in.
Could I get a black belt?
But the thing is anyone.
Is it a time thing, or or see, you used to talk about grading? What is the grading? Can I go to the grading and fail?
I can only speak for our gym.
Yeah.
So we have had, and so we nearly have like 2 pathways. There's nearly like a recreational pathway where things are taken into consideration. Like, how long have you been training? How often do you train? How long have you been training? How often do you train? What's your situation? Are you like a dad of 4 who's 48 who can get in twice a week? Or are you someone who's athletic and 23 and can train 7 days a week? Do you know what I mean? Those 2 people are and should not be judged to the same standard, to the same barrier. Now, there will be a baseline to a degree.
But then should a black belt not mean the same?
Ultimately, I don't think so.
No?
Because it's a very cliched thing that I will happily repeat, because it is true. Like, a black belt is someone who just kept showing up.
Dedicated.
Like, it's a white belt who just kept showing up. Like, literally became a stink in the place that you couldn't get rid of. And that's how I probably got mine. Like, it's literally just, if you are sitting listening to this now and you're 30, like, time is going to pass anyway. There's nothing you can do to stop yourself turning 40. Like, unless you're that fella from America who's like,
oh yeah, I've seen him. He
reverse aging and stuff like that.
He looks plastic.
Or unless you're on any of the good stuff that was all kept in the refrigerated islands in Epstein's place and stuff like that. But you have, like, the time's going to pass anyway. So you might as well be a black belt by the age of 40. Like, you might as well, like, commit to something 2 to 3 times a week. Do it. And, like, I know it's very easy for me to say that now, like, but I just think that, like, it's, and the opposite track, so that's one route. The opposite route is, like, people who compete. So there are people that I would teach or that I would train with who should, from a recreational sense, absolutely be the next belt up. But they compete, and they compete at major international tournaments. So if the World Championships are in May, for the sake of 6 months, if they have a chance of medaling or winning a world title, keep them at blue belt for the next 6 months. They're 20, they're 21. It doesn't matter in the long scheme
so they can
scheme of
compete at
things.
a belt lower?
Yeah, so they'll just compete at the belt that they're still at. But that's where some people can, like, crab and complain, and there's an expression in jiu-jitsu called sandbagging, where someone might be held for too long and stuff like that. But if you want to compete and you're competing and you get to black belt, there's no division higher than that.
Yeah.
So what are you going to complain about then? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're drawn against, if you want to become who is the most popular Formula 1 racer in the world?
Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton.
Okay, well, 20 years ago, if you wanted to become the best and you're in Formula 4 and whatever, and then you're like, oh, this guy, all the drivers that are losing to the guy in Formula 4 are like, this guy is way too good. He needs to be put up to Formula 3 because I'm never going to get to win. It's like, all right, grand. He gets to Formula 1 and he has to try and beat Michael Schumacher.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That guy's not bitching about having to compete against Michael Schumacher or race against Michael Schumacher. Now, all the other losers, they're still back down in Formula 4 saying, like, oh, at least I can win now because your man's gone.
Oh, they're bitching about the next boy.
But, like, yeah, they're bitching about they're bitching about Lewis Hamilton or whoever it was that came up after that. So, like, there are two pathways. Different gyms will do different systems. I think, biasedly, that the system that my coach has is the best way to do it. I can say this from a biased perspective. I've gotten all my belts off the same person. I've gone from white belt to black belt in the same gym with the same coach, surrounded by some of the same people dropping off, dropping back in, whatever. But I know people, and maybe when they could only answer this when they put their head down in the pillow at night, I know people who have gotten a different belt off a different instructor and fallen out with this person, gone to the other fella. I didn't get my belt quick enough off him, so I'm going to leave the gym. I'm going to join another gym, get a belt off that person, then leave, go somewhere else, pay an affiliation to somebody abroad, go underneath them, keep paying your money for 2 years, be underneath this jiu-jitsu association, and then in 3 years I get handed a black belt. And it's like, there's no...
Now what?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can speed run it in a certain way if you pay the right people and you do the right things. But, like, find a place that you like, find people that you like being around, and commit to it.
Say you do speed run it. Once you get the black belt, what then?
Exactly. And that's the other side of it, right? Who actually cares? Like, I've been thinking about this way more recently. Like, it was cool for me that I got it, and I was happy that I got it as a representation of my hard work. But I can't control what somebody else might do to get a black belt. I can't control what somebody else might do to give out another black belt. I can't control what somebody else's criteria or judgment for a black belt might be. I might have had to compete and win certain tournaments, or I wanted to do that before getting my black belt. The other person could enter 20 in a row and lose first round and still be handed a black belt. No two black belts are equal, and I don't think that you should really spend any time like being annoyed or beating yourself up because that person got this belt or that person that got this belt, because at the end of the day it doesn't care. People will roll with them and they'll either think that they're good or think that they're not, and then they'll come against somebody good and then they'll be found out to a degree. But I've been like so conflicted on that over the last couple of years when I was like, but if this fraud, whoever you want to call them, like a fraud or a fraudette, do you know what I mean, man or woman, if they're not the level that I think, you know, like who give you your belt, like you're not a black belt, like if that might not be the case, but they might have really good people skills, they might have a really welcoming environment. They may be facilitating classes for someone who struggled massively with body confidence, with self-consciousness, with anxiety, with whatever. And those 4 people have now irreversibly changed their life through jiu-jitsu, even if they've learnt it from the shit fella.
True.
Do you know what I mean? So really, like, who cares? Like, people doing jiu-jitsu is good. If somebody wants to go more or go further, they will generally find or gravitate themselves towards the better people, to train with the better people.
But it's like you said, like you're going to get found out. It's like say I speed run a black belt.
Yeah.
Well, to get there, I have to fight. Like I have to roll. So people's going like
to a degree,
people's going to look
yeah,
at your belt and then roll you and go,
I'm not coming back to this fella.
yeah, he's a load of shit.
Or you might think, oh, this chap's really good, until you get until you use the internet and find out more, see reviews, see whatever. There's all these funny videos of like gyms in America of like, they're called dojo storming, where like people might come into a martial arts gym. Just like as a like fun fact as well, like the whole thing about jiu-jitsu is like, this is a leave your ego at the door, leave your ego at the mats. Like, you respect your partners, you respect your gym, respect your teammates. Fundamentally, I agree with all of this thing. However, the martial art created by the Gracie family, influenced by the sport of judo, largely stolen to some degree from the sport of judo, their whole thing was going around to other gyms, challenging the owners and beating the owners up in front of their students because they didn't know how to fight them on the ground. And then saying, come and learn off us, the real martial artists. These were the equivalent of like travelling circus salesmen going around with the game already rigged, telling people, come on up and try the game. You know, like hang off this bar for 10 minutes and it's covered in grease and rotating in Spain and stuff like that.
You can never win those.
And I know one fella who actually did, and he's the only person on the planet that I would say would ever be able to win one of those things. And there's video proof of it. The boys are standing, scratching their head, looking at it, thinking, "How is he not falling off it?" But the whole sport was initially was based off deception of we know something that you don't, and we will teach you our secrets for money. Do you know? So
it's the same if you watch UFC, like two people come standing up and they're pretty pretty even on their feet. But see, once it goes to the ground, if one of them's way better, it's over.
There can be a massive difference.
Yeah.
But now with the sport evolving so much, you don't even have to learn how to do jiu-jitsu to be a really good professional MMA fighter. You just need to learn how to stop jiu-jitsu.
Oh, just defend against.
You just need to learn how to get up from the bottom and how not to be caught in stuff on top. Do you know, like position, strike, control, damage. Do you know, like wrestling and striking are the two best bases. Wrestling, like grappling, like wrestling, no submissions. How to defend submissions and keep safe from submissions and escape positions, and striking. Like, they're the things you need. Like, I do think it will switch again. I think that, like, MMA at the start was like, nobody knew how to do jiu-jitsu. So the ones who were good at jiu-jitsu were winning everything, were dominating. Then, like, the curve dropped a little bit because people were able to learn it, defend it, whatever. And maybe it might come back up again in the future. But for now, largely speaking, like, there is no... off the top of my head, the last 5 years, the best like champions in the UFC and the best fighters in MMA were either so much better at striking and distance management and feints and gauging anticipation and stuff like that, and just knowing where to put the shot at the right time than everyone else, or were so much better wrestlers and grapplers than everyone else that it wasn't like a fella coming in just able to like submit everyone. Do you know what I mean? That's unfortunately gone to a degree. Now, against an untrained person or like a lower level mixed martial arts and stuff like that, you definitely see jiu-jitsu stand out. But
I remember watching like tapes of like the original UFC, like back when it was like a karate guy against a kickboxer,
a guy wearing one glove.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what it was like for a lot of them.
It just looked like a brawl in the street.
Yeah,
and don't get me wrong, great television.
It didn't have as much rules as it does now, but that's how it was. It
slowly morphed into like everybody becoming good at everything.
Yeah. Well, think of it this way: like there's a thing that's called the IMAF, International Mixed Martial Arts Federation. They do tournaments all around the world, Europeans, Worlds, Pan-Pacifics, Oceania, different stuff like this. And then each country will have like national events and so on and so forth to try and select like national teams. This is all a longer term project to try and get mixed martial arts as an Olympic sport. I think if you want to become an Olympic sport, like 75% of the countries on the planet need to have like a national governing body for that sport.
What's the criteria?
Something like that. Yeah, if you want to be considered for an Olympic sport. So you now have kids from like 7 and 8 going abroad to compete in these tournaments. Now, there's no headshots, no striking to the head on the ground or standing, but they are fighting in cages. They're wearing shin pads. Do you know what I mean? They're controlling their emotions. They're learning about competing. In some extreme cases, maybe they're like weight cutting and stuff like that, which is mental. But there's a clear pathway now that like I'm convinced that the main UFC champions from like the lighter weight classes up until about maybe light heavyweight or middleweight, within the next couple of years, they will all be under the age of 24.
Oh, really?
Because they'll have been training from when they were 6. They might have been doing jiu-jitsu from when they were 6, boxing from when they were 10, wrestling from when they were 11. And then if you think that they could only like legally fight professional MMA some place in the world at 16 or at 18 and stuff like that, like it'll be the sport, ability-wise, athlete-wise, and this is the same for jiu-jitsu, it's the same for boxing, it's the same for basically anything. It will be unrecognizable in 5 to 10 years, like the level, because like social media now exists, pathways now exists. the internet exists. I can see who's competing. They can choose what they're sharing with me in their day-to-day life. They can show me their training. I can think, wow, how could I ever beat that? Look, he trains in that nice gym and has all these training partners, and he trains with the UFC middleweight champion, or he trains with an Olympian, or he trains with whatever. And it's like, you can see what everyone else is doing, but you get confused that that's what they're choosing to show you. That's not actually...
Yeah, like if you think of like pro boxers back in the day, they would have watched tapes of their competitors' previous fights.
Yeah.
To look for like tells open and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
Where that was only because they were televised. Where you're saying like now with social media, I can watch you training, you know, and you're some wee 16-year-old from the Netherlands.
At the highest level, it maybe not this isn't gonna happen as easy. But there's nothing stopping somebody from going to train in a gym for a month. Like MMA and Jiu-Jitsu, for the most part, are like the most insanely accessible sports to the people at the highest level of their sport. Like, it's not like you can go and learn football off Ronaldo in his soccer school.
Nah.
Now, he has a soccer school. You can go pay stupid money to be there, but he's never going to be telling you how to pass the ball, like, or how to kick the ball, or how to stand before a free kick. But I could go to California tomorrow, pay $300 for the month, and learn from a 6-time world champion, learn from a 4-time world champion, and they'd be like, "Oh, thanks so much for coming." Like, and they'd talk to you and they'd interact with you like you're a human. But they are the Ronaldo equivalents of our sport.
It seems to be a very humble sport. Like I was first made aware of how big it was, like probably everybody else on the planet who doesn't actually do the sport, by Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, that fella podcast, you ever heard of him?
The Fear Factor.
The Fear Factor guy, yes. Just like he never shuts up about it, on the benefits, on how humble the sport is, and how, like, you know, how friendly everybody is and welcoming. And you're saying the same thing. You can go to a gym in California and just go into 5-time world champion. They'd be like, "Thank you for coming."
Yeah, I do think, like, I've been lucky enough over the years when I was traveling for MMA events and stuff like that, that I was able to like drop in or train in certain gyms, and that sold me on that whole thing for a long time, because like you get to like we do a very weird niche sport to begin with that looks very strange to people on the outside, and really that there is like a barrier that you have to do a certain amount of it before you realize, oh, now I understand this, or now I like doing this. Some people will like it sooner for different reasons, but ultimately we all have to get past a certain type of barrier that then makes us think like, oh yeah, I actually like this, I want to do this. And like being able to drop in and train in other places when you go abroad. Like, I've trained in places where I didn't speak, nobody spoke a word of English, and it was fine.
Because you both spoke the sport.
We spoke the language of movement. Yeah. You know, but it was like just like something stupid like that.
The dance of man.
But like that was like, to me, and that was me being younger, you know, like training in France on holidays, training in Spain, training in Sweden, training in Germany, training in England. Like, depending on where you are in England, you wouldn't be able to understand any of them lads anyway. But like, it is class in that sense that you can go and do that. Like,
we rolled when we were younger. So whenever I was like sort of 16, I would have done a bit of kickboxing, a couple of MMA classes here and there, bit of BJJ, but the BJJ was always just like rolling with your friends. So we would have we all used to go to the local gym, and a load of us would have met up.
Yeah.
And like, no instructors, no trainers.
Yeah.
But we were watching UFC at the weekend. And we're going there and we were rolling.
Yeah.
And it was such good fun.
So how
very tiring.
How John Kavanagh and all of the early pioneers of the sport in Ireland would have done it was like literally having been posted or sent a tape.
Yeah.
That they were then able to watch and then try the moves.
Oh, really?
Like, literally, like, okay, he did this. Okay, what did he do here? Let's try it. You know, and then trying the moves and whatever like that. Like, that's...
Like, when I say we went to the local gym, I mean, it wasn't a...
Pure gym.
It wasn't a martial arts gym.
Yeah.
It was like Club VO2. You
putting
know,
mats down in pure gym. And
we threw the mats down. If somebody walked past the room, there was 6 teenagers just like wrestling each other on the ground.
Yeah.
Brilliant though. Brilliant fun.
It's like... And also, like, the one thing that, like, Joe or whoever would say, like, there is like something very like, to a degree, like primitive that jiu-jitsu taps into, that it's like, if you give people enough drink, someone's going to put someone in a headlock anyway. Do you know 100%. What I mean? So there is going to be like a row and a tussle at some point anyway, do you know? So it's like you're just learning how to do that. Like,
how different is because they have rolled, right? How different is training and messing about training to actually competing at a high level?
Probably more. It's more boring competing.
More boring?
Yeah, because it's more maybe like more tactical. So like in the gym, generally speaking, I wouldn't care if I win or lose.
No.
You know, it really doesn't bother me, and that can bother people sometimes.
Were you always like that, or is that something that matured?
Yeah, I think in my jiu-jitsu I've always been like that because I always was the smaller person. Do you know what I mean? I was always the smallest. Like for a long time when I started, I was the smallest person on the mat. Like when I went into adult classes, so it was like, and the sport wasn't as evolved, and there was a lot more just people like aggressive and fighting and stuff like that. So like my learning curve at the start was very steep. Probably should have quit at some points, like, but felt very steep. Again.
But strength doesn't, without a strength thing, because strength doesn't play a part, sure, does it?
Look, that's all bullshit. Of course it does. You know, like if you don't, like if you're weak,
Yeah.
and you don't know how to do the move, and the fella has some idea on how to do the move, and he's stronger than you, this whole like, oh, strength doesn't matter. Of course the strength's going to matter at this point. Gravity also matters. Do you know what I mean? They're able to like, until you know how to do the moves and you understand the mechanics of it. Like, and even then, two people who are almost identical in all attribute jiu-jitsu levels, but one of them does weightlifting and strength and conditioning and the other doesn't. When it comes down to an attrition perspective, the person who is more conditioned or stronger is going to win, assuming all other stats are equal. Assuming that everyone, like if you could have like energy bars or character bars and stuff like that, your attack is 80, your defense is 80, these guys are perfectly matched, whatever, like the strong person is gonna win in that sense. But to answer like the question about like the difference between competing and whatever, like training is just fundamentally like something really good fun. Like that's the whole thing now that I actually try and like appreciate more than anything. Like from a coaching perspective, from a reliability perspective, I'm going into my 5th year now of coaching 7 a.m. classes in Uri, and then 12 o'clock daytime classes in Dundalk. The only reason why I took to jiu-jitsu as much as I did is because my coach Sebastian and the gym that he has in Uri, him, Sean and Damien, they were able to facilitate for me to be able to train in the morning. When I was working at night, I could train in the morning. And me and another lad, Ryan, who's my best and main training partner for so many years, we were able to come in and train at 10 o'clock in the morning because the gym was open, or Seb would be there, or someone would be there, and it's like, yeah, you can work away because they saw we were interested in it. So for me now, what's mad important is that like this morning, I may not have appreciated my alarm going off at 5:30. I was up until 12:30, 1:15 playing Angry Birds. But
is that still going?
Still going, and I'm class at it. But
Angry Birds, I haven't heard.
Angry Birds 2, actually, if we're gonna brag.
Before we move on, apparently the film's very good.
There's an Angry Birds film.
I think so. Yeah.
Are we talking about the same?
Yes.
Yeah.
The game where you pulled the thing back and they launched them.
Yeah.
Apparently there's an Angry Birds film, and it's meant to be great.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
I'd be first. I'd go and see it. Yeah. But that, like, fair enough. Maybe like getting up at that time, not the best thing in the world. But like, I see so many of the same people. And I've seen so many people create positive changes for their routines, their lives, whatever. I've seen people go from white belt to purple belt through this morning class over the course of 5 years. And to me, that is more important than any tournament I will ever win. Like, because facilitating the ability for someone to be able to build a habit of doing jiu-jitsu and enjoying it for the rest of their life. Like, I'm not... people who might train with me might listen to this and they'll think this chap is a manipulating bastard. But somebody saying to you 3 weeks ago, for example, I had to go to the doctors for something with my heart because I was worried about it. Grand. Didn't see them for 2 weeks. Come in again the other day. First thing I said to them, how did everything go with the doctor?
Yeah.
How's your heart? Now, also, I don't want you to fucking take a heart attack while we're training. Yeah. Like, I have first aid training and stuff like that. But there's a fella who trains with us who is like the elder statesman of our gym. And he would often tell people, safe home when they're leaving on a Sunday night. Such a small, innocuous thing that may not mean anything. But we appreciate that you've left your house on a cold Sunday night to train with us until 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Like, and he would say, safe home. That's just a mannerism of him. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like, those little things for me are like so important, because it's like, how many times, I don't know, like, don't want to sound like bad about it, but like, feeling like our gym is pretty big, but numbers wise, I'll never not know a person's name wants to join. Do you know what I mean? Or wants to come into my classes. So you're never really going to be a number in a number in a crowd. Do you know that sort of thing? And I think that's very important, because you do not know why someone is training, and you do not know how much or little interaction or communication or whatever they might have outside of jiu-jitsu. And this could be like one of their main social outlets for the week. So it's like, you're not going to be like, you're not going to get to know these people. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, like they could be doing it because they want to be a professional athlete. They could be doing it because you're getting bullied in school. They could be doing it because they're getting no interaction
anything
at home, or, you know.
Absolutely anything. And it's like, to think that I'm above wanting. I know, like, look, there's obviously like sides of this that are mad. Like, I think one of the biggest problems that's happened in jiu-jitsu the last couple of years is that people confuse the fact that somebody has a black belt with maybe thinking that they're a good person. Do you know what I mean? Because there's been like systemic abuse cases in certain high profile gyms in jiu-jitsu that have uncovered in the last while. Like, insane stuff over the last 10 years. Insane, reprehensible stuff. Like, fuck, I don't know how I'm going to make my mortgage payment this month. Like, I'm just like...
those type of things?
No. I'm saying, like, imagine somebody saying that to me. I'd be like, mate, I actually live at home with my dad. So, I'm not the... If you want me to show you how to escape clothes guard, I can help you with that. But in terms of, like, your next career move or this or that, you're not going to, like, be as blunt like that to somebody. And nobody has ever asked me for financial or mortgage advice while I'm training, thankfully. Touch wood. But those sort of things, like, you can kind of, like, I've definitely laid some amount of over the top emotional shite with what's going on in my life to my coach for no other reason than me just thinking, like, well, he should probably hear this. Like, he might know how to fix this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knows how to fix everything else. He might know how to fix this. And, like, use jiu-jitsu for learning jiu-jitsu off those people. And, like, don't put people up on pedestals of, like, thinking that they're some sort of, like, messiah god just because they're good at a martial art that's less than 100 years old.
But then do they go from coach to sort of mentor, and they move into that pedestal in people's lives?
I think certain people can, and that is often influenced by what they do outside of jiu-jitsu anyway. So one of the guys I was referencing, like, he has worked with, like, kids in his job. So he's perfect with kid and teen development. Do you know what I mean? Understanding what they need to belong, certain different types. You put one fella in this group with those type of people, or you give him that sort of attention. The other fella might be a little hard in the nose, so you need to push him a different way. Do you know, different, not everyone reacts to the same stimulus. Not everyone reacts to the same thing. This isn't the Russian Olympic Training Center where they're like, we're going to just take the best one at the end of the endurance. Do you know what I mean? Like, throw everyone at the wall, and whoever's still standing, that's the one that we're going to try and make an Olympian.
Do you change your coaching style depending on the individual?
Who I'm teaching? Yeah. Without a doubt. I will structure the class in the same way, but some people... broadly speaking, I'm coaching the same way, whether it's the morning class, the evening class, or the nighttime class. I will run the classes in the same way. But some people, I used an example this morning where I was like, imagine this is a T-junction, right? Yeah. But you, this won't make sense to you because 10 years you've never paid attention to a fucking T-junction in your life. You just keep going, do you know? So this won't work for you, do you know? But if we are a T-junction right now where I am the main road and I'm lying on my back and the person is controlling my torso and they're the side road connecting on the T-junction, I won't be able to lift and tip them over me because we are two separate roads, if that makes sense. The road thing won't make sense.
Right.
But if we try and turn into a dual carriageway so that we're both two passing roads, I can bring you over easier. Like, I was basically trying to explain to someone, instead of being like this, be like this.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the T-junction, this is the dual carriageway. If you can get to the dual carriageway, you're grand.
Centre of mass.
Whatever. Do you know what I mean? And one fella stopped me on the way out this morning, literally 13 hours ago, and he said, I'll never forget that. Mainly because of how stupid it was, but I'll never forget that. So, like, certain people will remember stories like that, and whether they're good examples or not, I don't know. Other people need like more step by step. Put your hand here, move it that way, pull it back, then you'll get this, then you'll get that. Some people require that. Other people require funny road analogies.
I suppose it's how you learn. Everybody learns different.
Like, that's probably like a whole other debate on like learning styles and teaching styles and stuff like that. That, like, something that really bothers me, and like I was really hard on myself about this last year, and I still am hard on myself. Like, I should be a far better coach. Like, we are talking about ChatGPT, we are talking about this, we are talking about Instagram Reels, podcasts, what you're listening to this on, YouTube, scientific papers, whatever. Mm-hmm. You could get good at anything in the world for free. You'll have to steal a certain amount of content, you'll have to torrent it or download it or whatever. You can get good, or you can get a base level entry understanding of virtually anything in the world for nothing. You could go to university on the internet.
Oh, you can, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Hustlers University. My friend has an Andrew Tate Hustlers University subscription here sitting behind it.
Oh, do you?
Great value for money. Great value for money.
I actually joined to see what it was like.
Did you?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I just done 1 month because I was curious what it was.
Yeah.
It's just courses on photography, video editing, so starting social media marketing companies. Basically just
Illuminati hand signals.
Yeah. So it's all the ways that you can make money online. And to be honest with you, a lot of it's like, you know,
nonsense.
Not nonsense, right? I will be honest. Whenever I was reading through it all to see what it was, see, for anybody that's young, it's go pick up a fucking camera, go to businesses and fucking charge them to make content for them. You know, whether it's photo or video, or social media marketing. In Hustlers University, they're going to teach you how to social media market. And then the whole like premise behind everything is go to businesses, do it for free, show them what you can do, and then charge for the service.
Experience.
And like, for anybody that sticks to it, do you know what? It's just a roadmap in the starting a business and getting customers. At the end of the day, you have to do it. But I think that's where they are big on. It's like, go and fucking do it. Like, we're showing you how to make money, but it's your job to go and do it. So anybody that does do it makes money.
There's no like secret to it. But then they'll be like, if you really want the secret, you can pay extra.
Oh, always.
And then you do your masters in the Hustlers University.
But it's the same thing. Like, it's, you know, you ask ChatGPT, how do I start a photography business? It'll walk you through all the same steps, and at the end of the day, you're the one who has to go do it. You know, it's same social media marketing, whatever it is, video editor. It's all these things that are quick, like lowish cost to enter.
And that is the sort of thing that like has bothered me. So it's like, I should be so much better at stuff that I do. I should be a better athlete. I should sleep better. The science is there. I should eat better. The science is there. I should lift weights. The science is there. I should learn how to teach in a more efficient way to make people learn quicker. That is there. And instead, I am staying up until 12:30 at night playing Angry Birds because the daily challenge had just renewed and I wanted to get more feathers. So sometimes your priorities can skew, and sometimes you can also be hard on yourself because the other side of it is like you're teaching 2 to 3 classes a day, you're training on top of all of that, you're traveling, you're doing a lot.
But do you want to be a good coach, or do you want to be the number 1 best coach in the world?
I don't think I could ever be the number 1 best coach in the world.
So play Angry Birds.
So play Angry Birds, yeah, you're right. That'll be grand.
Yeah.
I don't believe that I could be the number 1 best coach in the world, but I do believe that I could help to facilitate people to make them love and enjoy jiu-jitsu enough to be comfortable enough competing, to build them up to a good level,
But
that maybe they might go to that next final step somewhere else.
Are you actively taking steps to be a better coach, even if they're small?
For the most part, yes, but they're small.
Yeah, so you can't.
They're not.
But you can't be too hard on yourself.
You can always be hard on yourself.
But if you want to be the world's #1 coach, you have to sacrifice everything.
Yeah.
You know?
If you want to be the best at anything in the world, you'll lose your mind in the process.
You sacrifice relationships, sacrifice family. Enough, so if you want to be a good coach and you're actively taking steps, you can't be too hard on yourself, but you're doing it.
So my last self-defeating comment about that sort of thing is that the other side of it is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can never make it drink. So really and truly, the people that have supported me, coaching and mentorship and stuff like that, I've given them more than enough reasons over 10 to 12 years to never believe another word that'll fucking come out of my mouth after I said, no, this is the time I'm going to start eating vegetables. I'm telling you now, this is the time. It's going to happen. I'm not going to sleep in and miss another morning class. I'm not going to walk in stinking of weed again. I promise that's never going to happen again. And it does, right? So judge people off their actions, not off their words. And their commitment will be shown to you by their actions, not by their words. You can facilitate and take in what somebody says to you. I'm going to do this and train for this tournament. I'm going to do this tournament. Dead on. I don't get excited about that statement anymore. In fact, I had to have a hard conversation with somebody within the last year to say, you really shouldn't do this tournament, because your best case scenario is win one match, lose one match, and then you're going home. As long as you are aware that it's only for experience for the future, I endorse you doing this tournament. If you want the experience of traveling, of the trip, of whatever, 100%. If you have any belief that you might win this tournament and that's why you're going, then I'm telling you now, that's not going to happen. Never in a month of Sundays is that going to happen. And I don't think that makes me a bad coach. I actually think that makes me a better coach by saying, let's go experience it and then see what you have to work towards. And I haven't seen that person too much recently, but people are at different stages in their lives.
Did they quit after those comments?
No, he went and did the tournament. He went and did the tournament. He lost his first match. Yeah. He did better than I thought he was going to do in that first match. He enjoyed it. And if that can be a catalyst for something in the future, then perfect. I have gotten a bit of stick sitting over there for staying an extra couple of days to wait to coach people at some of these tournaments in Portugal or abroad or going away. The reason why I enjoy it as much is because in 2012, my coach said, when I said to him, I was living in Dublin and training in Dublin, but training at home at the weekends, and I was like, I think I'd like to do this. And he was like, okay, we'll go and do it. And he went and did it as well. And it's like, that opened my eyes to the traveling, the international tournaments, the abroad, this type of lifestyle, this type of thing that you do. It's like, so he could have easily turned around and said, you're not fucking doing that. And he would have been well within his rights. He's like, there's no chance you're doing that. Do you know? So
what's a tournament day like though?
Just different, dependent for each. I don't know. I've woken up before feeling like I was going to win it, and I lose first round. I've woken up before feeling like, don't really want to do this, and I win the tournament. I never really eat breakfast the morning of a tournament. No. Sometimes you're worried about your weight, but I would never really eat unless I wasn't competing until later in the day. I used to always, and still anytime I drive past that way, you're grand until you get to the M50 in Dublin. And then it's like feeling in your stomach, you're like, oh fuck, I'm going to have to go and do this now. One way or another, I'm going to have to go and do this. Can't turn back at that point, do you know? And when you're standing there, then when you go through the motions of the warm-up and rolling and stretching or getting warm, and then you're standing there next to the mat and you're about to compete, you think sometimes you can think, I can't believe I paid money to do this when I could be lying at home in bed. And then there's other times you're thinking this is you're very lucky to be able to do this. Do you know what I mean? I'm very lucky to be able to be here. There are people who can't do this for whatever reason. There's people who won't do this for whatever reason. But it's an adrenaline-filled thing like no other. It's like, that's why I'm saying the difference between competing and playing in the gym and then competing. When you're competing, we have both agreed to be there on the day and put our money down. Now, we're not getting any financial benefit from it, but we've both agreed to be there. So it's like the person who can break that mold cycle and compete as if they're playing, compete as if it's just a training session, they're the ones that go far. Do you know what I mean?
So if you get in your head too much in competition, you've lost.
You'll freeze up a little bit. But you can also be in your head too much and like be very like astute with your decision making and being like, well, I know this next fella's good at this, so I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to try and funnel him to this side of jiu-jitsu because I've watched his last match and I know he was bad there. That's where I'm strong. If I get to there, I can win. A lot of high level jiu-jitsu is who can get to their position first and then who can get the first score, and then from that point on it goes.
I've heard it called physical chess. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I'm not good enough at chess to say yes or no. Like, we have a friend who has a Tesla, and it has a class screen in it, but it has chess on it. And I sat one night after training and lost 6 games in a row.
That can't be safe.
We weren't driving while we were playing it.
But even the fact it can have it.
Those cars drive themselves. It's absolutely fine. But we were like playing 6 games in a row. They would say it's like human chess. People like to make the allure of like, oh, you're falling into my trap. Do you know what I mean? I've got you now. You're falling into my trap, and there is an element of that to it. But funny enough, there are like legitimate there is a sport that's like 3 minutes of boxing, 3 minutes of chess. Yeah. Don't know if you've seen this before. Like they literally go between rounds of boxing to playing chess, rounds of boxing playing chess. Lomachenko, Usyk, all of them, they do like arithmetic, like maths, equations, chess, all of this sort of stuff in their training over the course of 3 hours because it like helps the brain keep going. So while it can be comparable to chess, we're probably not getting the real benefits of it because none of us are sitting playing chess. But I know, actually, weirdly enough, I know plenty of people who like sit on the mat playing chess on their phone before they train jiu-jitsu. Like, so maybe there is some sort of hack to it. Like,
I mean, it seems like such a technical sport where you can't just brute force your way through it. Like, you really have to be thinking 10 steps ahead. Like,
yeah, but you have to also like learn those steps. Do you know what I mean? The same way you have to learn the rules of chess, that a knight can go 2 spaces and a turn. Do you know what I mean? 2 spaces and a turn. That a bishop can only go diagonal on the colour that it's on. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You have to learn all of those sort of like ideas first, and then like how you could, I don't know, what's the thing? Do you know any chess moves? Like, for some reason, gambit is in my head, like a knight's gambit or something like that.
I don't know the names of any of the moves. Like, I have played chess and I could like bluff my way through a game.
Yeah.
I decided that, actually, this was last year, I decided that I was going to learn how to play chess.
Yeah.
And obviously against AA, and I was just on my phone playing against AA. Realised after about 2 games I'm terrible at it, so I switched to checkers because it's easy.
You were better at that.
Far better at it.
Yeah, perfect.
So finally got
stay at the checkers level.
Finally got to competing on like expert level against AA at checkers, and like winning a fair number of games, not a high percentage, but I was able to get the odd game in. Brilliant. Went back to chess again, thinking I've nailed checkers, I've got this.
It's a natural progression.
Never played again.
That's
realised how bad I am.
I am endeavouring to beat that fella with the Tesla in chess in the next month. Yeah.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by These Wild Stories. If you're a newly engaged couple and hate getting your photo taken, then today's sponsor is perfect for you. Ran is a wedding photographer based in Armagh who pretty much specialises in relaxed, candid photography so that your wedding day doesn't feel like a photo shoot. You only have to go to his website to see what I mean. The majority of his work is capturing things that happen in the moment rather than setting up the shot. Ran's wedding photography page is called These Wild Stories, and if you head over to his website and like his work, he's offering a 10% discount on packages if you get in touch and use the code word results to let him know you came from this podcast. So the website is www.thesewildstories.com, and it's These Wild Stories on Instagram too. Be sure to check that out if you or your friends or family members have just got engaged. What lessons have BJJ taught you that you have brought into your real life? Bit of a deep one there.
What lessons have Jiu-Jitsu taught me? If I am ever in a hotel and they give you a bathrobe, I can secure and fasten the bathrobe because I'm used to tying something around my waist.
Moving on.
That's
That's it.
that's probably. What would you reckon? Just you won't be heard. What would you reckon? Have I learned any lessons from jiu-jitsu? No.
We got a shrug of the shoulders.
No,
there.
no. Like the answers that people want to say is like problem solving,
Yeah.
perseverance. Something is not going to go your way right away. You're not going to be great at something at the start. That consistency and that sticking at something will pay off, and persevere. That all of those things. I suppose, like, not judging a book by its cover, that's number one. Like, I look at the world in that sort of way anyway. That's like, my mum used to always say to me, like, you're never any better or worse than a person you'll meet on the street. Like, everyone is, if you might pass by someone who's homeless or in a bad situation, you don't know how they got there, and you could be 2 or 3 bad decisions away from being in the similar space that they're in. Do you know what I mean? So I do believe that I've always had maybe an empathetic perspective and view on certain things, but I think jiu-jitsu kind of like made me really like aware of that, because there is nothing else on the planet, with the exception of a McDonald's drive-through or a cinema or a restaurant. Okay, so there are a couple of things, but where else would a person suffering addiction issues, a nurse, a wood paneling joiner, a doctor, a pilot, a former bank robber, a drug user, drug dealer, and a police officer all be in the same room together, who know each other from varying ages and socioeconomic backgrounds? When would those 9 people ever be in the same room with each other, interacting with each other, liking each other for the most part, assuming they don't know the other person's jobs, and like aiming to get better at something? Like, jiu-jitsu is like genuinely, that's my say. Like, you don't judge a book by its cover. Like, you just don't know who a person is or why they're there for what reasons. And I think like that's a very like unifying thing of jiu-jitsu. Like, that's like, there is not, I would challenge anyone to give me a legitimate answer. They could all be in the same waiting room for the doctors, but they're not talking. They're not interacting with each other. They could all be in a restaurant together, but they're not having dinner together. Do you know?
Yeah, it's I thought this a while ago, and like sort of relates this way, but where like you have that main character syndrome. So like, I go through life.
If you were a movie, what would the people be screaming at the
no,
cinema?
it's no. Well, that too. That's actually a good question. I did ask another guess, but it's like, I perceive life from my mind and my eyes.
Yeah.
So to me, this is life. There only is one.
Yeah.
But then you think about
it's a simulation. Actually,
yeah,
it's none of
but
it's real.
But then, like, I wake up in my bed, and my home is my home, and
Yeah.
my friends are my friends, and my work is my work, and my experiences are my experiences. And then I think about you. Well, you wake up in your bed, and that's the exact same as me.
Yeah.
But it's completely a different world.
We might have talked about that before. It would have been my earlier attempt to branch off into something creative and borderline potential diagnosis of psychosis. But like, the word sonder was very important and is very important to me. I really like that. Sonder is a word that was created by a man who wrote a book called The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. It has been stolen and bastardized by the Instagram culture of reels and people who travel and do Instagram traveling reels and stuff like that. But I was a firm fan of it from 2014. Sonder is the realization that someone else is living a life as complex as your own.
Yeah.
So like, being able to like appreciate that like, but we only ever see it from our perspective, first person perspective. The example I would give, again, T-junction, you're driving, someone smashes through a red light, you have to go on the brakes. That person to you is the arsehole that you nearly drove into. To them, their child is at home choking. They just got a phone call. That's why they've just broke the red light. So they have their own life, their own stresses, responsibilities, whatever, and they will go through the whole process as you, but they will only ever be that to you, the person who ran the red light that day when you nearly died.
Yeah, they'll be almost like an NPC.
Yeah, a bot. We call them bots. Bot lobbies.
That's the way. Like, so like people, I think it's like it's a hard sort of wall to break where you have to realize that whatever that person's going through that day and whatever that means to them, if that was you,
How would you react?
how would you
Like, yeah.
react? How would you feel? But you don't think of it as the same because it's not you. Like,
Yeah, well, like you don't have the, I suppose, the context.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so through an argument that I was not in, but I was adjacent to before and had to witness, and somebody like laid a zinger on another person,
Right.
and it was like,
I love that word, zinger.
you're I can respect or I can appreciate your, I don't want to use the word like trauma, but I can respect your triggers,
Yeah.
but I'm not responsible for them. And it's on you to be responsible for them. Like, if this fella over here had once been smashed over the head with a can of Pepsi, and anytime he sees a can of Pepsi now, he's like,
Nah.
and goes non-verbal and won't talk with me every time I'm fucking enjoying this can of Pepsi, right? I'm sorry, but that's
His problem.
it's his reason. Do you know what I mean? Now, the scale and the examples of those things can be like much, much bigger. Like this was over two friends 6 or 7 years. Oh, I'm after saying 6, 7. 5 or 6 years ago. Fuck. 5 or 6 years ago, like arguing over something that had happened in a previous relationship, and they were just like, "Listen, I'm really sorry that it happened to you, but I'm not that person, and that wasn't me that did it to you, and we need to figure out a way so that you can be bothered by this, but don't fucking take it out on me." Like.
Yeah, I was going to say that the way I can think of that in my head is like a relationship. Like, say somebody has like trust issues because they've been cheated on in the past.
Yeah.
Then they made a good person, good partner. I shouldn't have to keep showing you my phone, and I shouldn't have to keep telling you where I'm going because you don't trust me.
They have apps installed on your phone now. They know where you
well,
are.
they know, yeah.
It's okay.
But it's like
They don't need need permission.
Yeah, it's like, but I understand what happened to you, but I shouldn't live this life because of your trauma.
Yeah, it's not me. Like it wasn't me.
It's
Did
not
it to
me.
you.
Yeah.
And that, like, I suppose that's again empathy or sonder. Like you don't realize what anyone else said. You've never been in that position. If you were the person who had been put through that situation, you would probably be fundamentally different after the fact as well.
You'd
So
probably,
it's like,
you'd probably be the same as that person, but you can't realize it from your perspective.
yeah, because you've never had that like lived experience. What's next?
What's next? Real world self defense is the next topic. So, does training change how you are aware in public because you're martial arts trained? Do you scope around?
I know people who will only sit with their back to a wall.
Really?
So that they can survey the thing. I know a person who will be the first person to board a flight and will always pick the first row. So he can personally vet every person that gets onto the plane. Just to try and assess who the threat is or who could be a potential threat. Seat 1A. Seat 1A.
Yeah.
The man is probably fucked on most Ryanair flights because they let people go in the back door as well. So I don't know what his solution is to that. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he'll like stand at the gate and personally check everyone who's going through. I know, like people who would like compare themselves to every person in a room and say like, that'd be no issue. I have an open bet with a friend of mine who believes he could cable tie me and put me in the boot of a car at any time without me being able to stop it.
Has he ever?
He's never attempted to try it, but he's adamant that
why don't you try that?
Well, it's an open challenge. He can try it at any time.
Anytime. So as you might just be walking home some night and he pulls up beside you.
No problem.
That's it.
I know it's the cable tie man. You know, or at least mentally I'm prepared that it's the cable tie man.
If it happens, you hope it's your friend.
Well, at that point, yes. But like for me, very early on, I would probably annoy and ruin your camera by doing this, but I have a scar on the back of my neck on this side. So I'm going to ruin it. It might pop up, right?
Oh yes, I can see it.
Can you see that on that camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So that happened like 2 years into training jiu-jitsu. And it happened because someone was robbing the nightclub at 4 o'clock in the morning. 2 lads, 2 students, rag week, start of the college year, whatever. And for some reason, my civic duty, my loyalty to the to the job, you know? It's like, stop what you're doing. And then they took off. And thankfully, the stairs that I had previously mopped were not just dry enough for those men. So both slipped on the stairs. Bottles everywhere. 6 bottles of Absolute, 2-litre bottles of Absolute vodka everywhere. One of them went left, which was into a dead end. One of them went right, which was to the back lane. But before they got to the bottom of the stairs, one of the fellas reached forward to try and grab the back of my jumper to pull me back, my shirt. But it was a slashed bottle of Absolute vodka, and it cut the back of my neck.
Fuck, you're lucky, yeah.
Cut the back of my neck here. And I didn't know I'd been cut at that point. He went left, I went right. I followed the fella left because I knew it was a dead end. Before he had a chance to turn back towards me, I was on his back standing. I jumped onto his back standing. He had a jacket on him, hand into the inside of the jacket, fell down off to the side, put him to sleep. And it was the single best feeling
you ever had.
Up until that point. I was like, oh, first of all, this actually works. Second of all, what a gobshite was I for getting involved in that. Because it was like,
€10 an hour or something.
Yeah, why? Yeah. I should have said, enjoy that. Security, they're gone home. Cash in hand, they're away home, 2:30. They don't need to be here anymore. It's not in my job description to stop you from robbing this. If I didn't, I'd have been fired. You let them walk out with, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? You'd be gone. And then I felt like the blood like pumping out the back of my neck at that point. So like, I don't know if I went up in the middle of the night. I didn't. I went up the next day to the A&E and they glued it. Or I went somewhere and it was glued for me. I was able to avoid stitches. Got it glued. That made me realise jiu-jitsu worked. Was then told by an intermediary figure who told me, you won't actually be able to claim off these people. Like, just so you know, like, I'm just telling you as your friend, there's no claim here. They will, if you try claim off them, and I was like, I had no intention of it. Yeah. My dad was like, you're grand. I think they might have thrown me €100. The manager might have thrown me €100 for the A&E bill for the glue, for the Pritt stick. And then they were like, so this like I don't know, maybe they thought I was going to take a claim or something like that, because this is all on camera, all whatever. Just so you know, it's not in your job description to have done that. They would say that wasn't in your job description. We didn't expect you to do that. He acted on his own accord. Blah 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 blah.
So the company's not responsible.
So you don't even think about getting a solicitor. A couple of years later, I found out from a solicitor that you were owed an awful lot of money from that situation. You could have got good money. Like, that could have been much worse. You now have, like, your hair does not grow anymore.
Visible scar.
There's no claim for the hair that's not growing here, or the hair that's not growing here, but for the hair that's not growing here, there's a bit of a thing. Neck modelling career ruined, side profile modelling career ruined, headphone modelling career ruined,
all gone.
Hat modelling down the window.
Millions lost in revenue.
Gone. And what I did find out, and I'm absolutely delighted, because this is how the rich get richer. The owners took the 2 boys to court.
Fuck off.
So the owners were able to take the 2 lads to court for trespassing and for robbing and for causing damage and for whatever. But they got damages in court.
But told a friend to go tell you.
But told an intermediary figure to come and tell him there's no chance he'd get any money if he tried to sue us. And I just, like, and I had no intention of doing it anyway, because it was like, I wouldn't do that, full stop. Do you know what I mean? There is someone who would see no wet floor sign out and think, this is my lucky day.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what
100%.
I mean? Someone we know would say the roof would have to be cut off the car if someone ever tipped into the back of him when he was driving.
Oh, 100%.
You know? But like,
sure, they're driving around cars full with like brake lights not working on the back of the cars. Just to try and get you dinge into the back of them.
Yeah. What a, like,
5 of them getting the
so
claim.
for me, that's my real world assessment. I was like, arrogantly, maybe when we were talking earlier on about having like the piss and coffee stain tracksuit bottoms and going into places that maybe you shouldn't, that people are like very posh and well to do and very fancy and just getting a few bits for the pantry, and you're kind of standing there just kind of like couldn't care, like this is like I've got a skill that is like
I could end your life.
Well, not like that, do you know what I mean? But like you do have like a low, I'm not saying a low tolerance, but it's not as if you'd ever be like, if someone said, oh, I'd batter you, you'd be like, all right. Like I'd never be like, oh, prove it. Do you know what I mean? In my head I'm just kind of like, I know that that's not true, so yeah, grand. Now if they could also do jiu-jitsu and they were good at it and they were a better striker than me, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough, you probably could. Yeah. But like from a normal like interaction perspective, like grand, like it's all good.
So you kind of answered it anyway, but like one of my other questions was about like the real world scenario. Have you ever been in one? So you have. Has there been any more where you've been like that guy jumping his back? Has there been any where it's been like a face-to-face fight and someone's throwing digs?
I honestly don't think of, and like I've never been hit a slap in my life. No. Genuinely. Our guest here would say it's probably to my detriment, because like a friend of ours once offered to bring me to that field and I could give him a tenner and he'd just beat the fuck out of me instead of me going to do jiu-jitsu. Like he would offer me lessons instead by hitting me. Any like altercation like that always happened around nightclub work and people that had taken drink. Do you know what I mean? I had my nose busted open with a headbutt once from a fella, and then similar enough from what had happened before. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure, right.
At that point you're like, you're fine, like you're using jiu-jitsu. Actually with that one I didn't choke that guy out, but it was all on camera as well. It's like very clearly headbutt first. I had gotten a ding on the nose that day at training anyway, so I wasn't happy with the fact that my nose had started bleeding from the headbutt, implying that his headbutt was not strong enough to normally do that, but I had been compromised earlier on in the day from training, so that's why it bled as easy. But when the security came down and after I had held him and had him in restraint and stuff like that, when I was getting up from the back of him, I closed either nostril one after another and cleared my nose all over the back of his neck.
Lovely.
Snot and blood all over the back of the neck, and that was a memorable one as well. But everything else has just been like pointless, silly scuffles where drink has been involved in some capacity. I don't drink, so generally the other person with aggro and stuff like that, and at that point you diffuse it. Like it can be diffused quite easily. You just generally walk away from it. People talk about martial arts for self-defense. Athletics is the best self-defense. A good 100-meter time is the best self-defense. It's
all those things about like knife defense and like run.
It's
turn and run.
It's very easy to say don't be in a situation where you might need to learn knife defense, but like give them your phone, give them your wallet. There is no technique that I can teach you that is like how to safely grab the blade of a knife and disarm it. And for the laugh, in the last 2 years we've bought rubber knives in the gym, and sometimes I'll throw them out when people are training just to make them realise
you're getting hit with a blade.
This guy's after getting a blade, and it's like, and if you wanted to do it in a different way, a permanent mark or a marker, whiteboard marker, throw a whiteboard marker in front of someone, let them grab it, see how many times they can colour your face and colour your arms and colour whatever. Like that's what the reality of those situations are. Do you know what I mean? You're getting nicked. You may not get an artery nicked, you may not bleed out, but you're gonna get cut. Like no knife defense techniques being taught.
What's the biggest misconception people have about fighting?
That they're all tough.
They're all tough.
Yeah, they're
sensitive people.
Probably the most narcissistic, self-conscious, paranoid, caring about what people think people have ever met in my life.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. But maybe not ever met in my life.
But then you read about the BJJ and the sort of camming people.
All us jiu-jitsu people were grand.
Just everybody else.
Cool. Yeah. Nothing. We are slightly lower degrees of narcissistic, self-conscious, paranoid, wondering and caring what people think. Like that's not to be. And they're all, by the way, great people. But the reality is, something has, people who compete at a very high level in boxing or MMA or whatever like that, something has happened at some point that makes them want to be like, I am the best. I can beat you physically. I am the best. I want to show that, whatever. but then might be worried about how did that picture look before it's posted on the internet. Did I sound stupid in that interview? Countless UFC level, countless people. Can you not post that because I sounded like? Can you take that bit out when I said that? It's like you can't really, mate. Sorry, like, but like all of this sort of thing, like doubting themselves after the fact, knowing that the interview that they're doing is building up to their next fight. So I'm going to say this largely bombastic thing that I didn't really give too much thought of, didn't really think too much through, but I actually don't believe it. But I've been told this is what you kind of have to do. Like, you have to sell the fight, you have to do this. And it's like how some people might go on and promote even their fights now. There was a card recently in Dublin, and like me and my friends were talking about, like, who do you think's going to win this one? Who do you think's going to win this? Who do you think's going to win that? And it's like, well, somebody knows who trained with this fella once, who did this, like, whatever, that like that chap will do 3 rounds, but he'll always go with the easy people.
Oh.
The other fella will do 12 and he never wins a round in the gym. But because he never wins a round in the gym, he does really well in fights because he's training with people who are so much better than him.
Constantly pushing himself.
And like those sort of things. So I don't think there is like a right or wrong way in those things. But like they are also like protective, caring people who like are very proud. Like, I know I give kind of like a piss-takey, jokey answer with that, like they're whatever. But the reality is that like they're doing something that 90 whatever % of the population would never dare to do. They're doing it to a level that is like so high that 90 something % of the population will never get to either.
Yeah.
There is a quote that a lot of people would attribute and would hang on to, and would kind of like, it's a Theodore Roosevelt quote. It's not the critic who counts, it's the man in the arena, the man whose face is marred with dust and blood and sweat, the man who tried, the man who whatever, not the person on the outside watching from the comfort. Do you know what I mean? Generally speaking, that quote is only ever used after a loss. The fella who wins by knockout in the first round is not saying it's not the critic who counts, it's the man in the arena. It's generally speaking, and I do like the quote and I do agree with it and I fully endorse it, but it's generally only ever used on the end of a wrong decision.
It is, but it also still has merit. You know,
oh no, it's 100%. I do agree with it. As the fella who talked about wanting to get into MMA reporting and journalism, and someone said, "You've never done it," and that's what made me do it, made me start doing it. I understand. Do you know what I mean?
I love when things start as a "fuck you, I'll show you."
Yeah, you wait. And you'll see.
Who can't do it?
Yeah, I'll show you who can't do it.
It's like when you're younger. It's like, bet you can't jump over that wall. Of course you can.
Yeah,
broken leg.
Hands on it.
Yeah.
Someone would put glass on the top of it, scar all the way down your hand. You know, but that side, like, they are like insanely fearless, dedicated people who are like willing to do something that not many people on the planet would do. I think like that should probably override any like snarky comment that I might have made beforehand.
Yeah, although you mentioned something there about doing like something what 90% of the public will never do, and at a level 90% of people that compete will probably never get to. Like, people don't understand how low the bar is, you know, for generalized stuff. Like, I remember reading quotes before, and it was like, if you can lift your own body weight in a deadlift, you're stronger than 99% of the population. You're going, so I can be in the top 1%, just lift my own body weight. You know, it's a ridiculously low bar.
Yeah.
But it's because everyone is just coasting, and there's only a very small percentage of the populace that even try.
Yeah. You
know, so just by trying, you're in a high percent.
A really good example that somebody gave me once is that it's much, if a level of competency could be measured from 0 to 100, it's much easier to get from 0 to 60 than it is from 60 to 70. Even though one numerical value is 60 and the next is 10, like the 60 is much easier to get. Like the grasp, the fundamentals, the whatever. Then when you get to the top and you're looking for these 1% margins and advantages and low-hanging fruit and all of this sort of stuff, like that gap from 60 to 70 is insanely harder to get to. Like it not all 10s are equal in that case of a sliding scale of 0 to 100.
It's like, I seen a financial advisor talking before, and he said sort of something similar.
Me?
It was you, yes.
Yeah.
The billionaire, sorry, not the billionaire.
Millionaire, yeah.
He had said the difference in your life going from minimum wage to 10 grand a month is ridiculous. He says, but the difference in going from 10 grand a month to 100 grand a month isn't as much of a leap as going from minimum wage to 10.
Yeah.
He says that first jump to 10 is the biggest change it'll ever have in your life, because the change from 10 to 100 a month.
I find it very hard to try and remember what that feeling was like for me when I was first making 10 grand.
You made
a
your
month.
first 10 grand a month.
Yeah, so long ago that
So long
I find
ago.
it very hard to actually think back to something like that. But
yeah.
if I had have known, I could have recounted some old journals maybe and got some notes together for you. But it's alien to me. And sorry,
because he was saying like it's a difference in your life. So when you get 10 grand a month, you can eat in any restaurants. You can buy any clothes you want. You can have it. You can have the nicest cars. You can afford first class flights. So to make an extra 90 grand a month, well, you can only buy the only clothes you can buy are only so nice. The meals you can eat is only so nice. You know,
that fella's only telling you that.
It was about
the places that aren't on Google Maps.
Oh,
there's the places. The back bar. There's the better restaurant. You don't go to restaurants. The chef comes to you. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, you'll find ways to spend it.
Yeah.
But he was talking about the change to your life. He's like, there's a bigger change from 0 to 10 than there is from 10 to 100. He says your life won't change as much going the extra.
You don't go in the front door of a restaurant. You go in through the kitchen.
Going through the kitchen.
Yeah, in through the kitchen. Have a table.
Shake a chef's hand and all.
Yeah, he's back again.
He's back.
But yeah, no. I when I get to that stage, I'll let you know how that feels. Yeah.
You should do an experiment. You should go back and start over again.
Start up on the ground and something else entirely. Do you know if like recently? So like I've taken on like a little bit more responsibility with my work and stuff like that, and I didn't graduate the Hustlers University, but I've done a lot of social content and photography and video. I've done a lot of hustle, done a lot of social and video stuff over the years, and I've always done it like as a passion sort of thing, and I enjoy doing it, and never wanted to like call myself same way I never wanted to call myself a journalist when I was younger, because I didn't study journalism. I didn't get enough points to study journalism. So it was like, well, according to your system, I'm not a journalist, but I'm going to do the job better than most people who got it. That was my whole thing. Same with like photography and videography.
Yeah.
Some of the nicest, caring, creative, thoughtful people I've ever worked with are in all that industry. And then some of the people who are up their hole more than I've ever met are all in that industry. And that's the same with any industry. That's the same with chefs. That's the same with baristas. It's the same with actors. It's the same with whatever. Like, it's definitely, there's always a good and bad, right?
Yeah.
But I've never, like, for me anyway, like I always was afraid of like putting a label on that thing. Like, I would never say like, oh, I do photography. Do you know what I mean? I probably know more about cameras, aperture, shutter speed, white balance, settings, all of this sort of stuff.
What do you think that is? Because I still, when someone asks me what I do for a living, I still find it hard to give the answer. Like,
yeah,
it's quite clear.
Well, we talked about imposter syndrome earlier on.
Yeah.
I do think it's very simple to say that, because now people know what that is. But what I actually would rather is like whatever the opposite to imposter syndrome is. Like, think of the person who does printing the same way you do, that has a machine 4 times worse than yours.
Yeah.
Right? Who is happily getting money off people for terrible designs and print quality, and he's sitting at home like this. The bot is sitting at home like this without a thought in his head, being like, I did well today.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. Like, and I assume that there are people that exist like that, and I think they're the best people on the planet. Honest to God, fake it till you make it. The spoofers are the best people. The bluffers are the best people on the planet.
Delusion is super
I think they're the funniest people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They can, like, they could do whatever they wanted. Do you know what I mean? And it's a friend of mine used to always say to me, when we would probably be doing stuff that we shouldn't have been doing, it's like, it's always easier to ask for forgiveness than for permission.
I love that quote.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, that's like very, very accurate, you know, in all walks of life.
Big time. But, you know, I still find like people ask me what I do for a living, and I don't have like, I should have an answer that I could just rhyme off.
Yeah.
But
I feel a lot more comfortable with it now than when I was younger, and I was kind of like juggling like 2 or 3 things. Like I coach jiu-jitsu. Do you know what I mean? That's what I do. Like I teach and I train jiu-jitsu full time. That's my job.
I think it's because we're in a world where like you should go to uni and get a career and climb the corporate ladder and you have a title without a company. Where when you don't have something like that, it's like, well, what do I do?
Well, if you believe Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, like a lot of young people will bypass a lot of these conventional things. They'll understand how the next AI cloud shipping bot works before anyone else. And by the age of 20, it'll 250 grand made.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I suppose like history has always had people on the cusp of stuff, and there'll always be young people who are like ahead of technology and different stuff, and they understand that they can play it, whatever. But for me, it was like, I think and I hope there won't be a robot made in the next 10 years that can teach jiu-jitsu. There probably will, but hopefully people will still want the more human element of it.
I looked up before you come on.
Yeah, is it a thing?
So no, there's not. Well, there is actually fighting robots. I've seen those. They're quite funny.
There are. Yeah, I've seen the Chinese ones were fighting recently and showing a demonstration and stuff.
It's whenever they get knocked down, how they get up is like ridiculous, but they get up.
Yeah, but they're only the ones that they're showing you.
Exactly.
There's better ones.
Yeah.
There's better ones somewhere else. But a friend of mine recently sent me something saying like, oh, this is a guy I worked with. It's an AI corrective thing for martial arts.
That's what I looked up. So video analysis.
And like we can then whatever. It's like, would you mind putting stuff into it? And I said, yeah, that actually sounds really good. And then I looked it up and I was like, I'm not feeding this thing information for how to take my job. I was like, I'm not putting anything into it. Like, great idea. Hope other people do it for you. I'm not being stung with this.
So I looked up and that's what I'd seen, video analysis. So do you think that's going to play a role in the future in jiu-jitsu, or is it too much of a hands-on sport?
Yes, but...
Yes to what?
Yes. Yes, next question.
Yes.
No, it will be a thing for people. Maybe for competitors, like I said, who are looking for that like 1% high, low-hanging fruit, whatever, like from the 80th to 90th percentile. But for the average Joe who's sitting at home using an AI to try and learn how to do a move better, that's okay. He still has to. First of all, there still has to be other people at the class for him to practice it on.
Yeah.
There still has to be a class. There still has to be a physical location. There still has to be people who want to come and do it. So it's like, while it might help, like, honestly, like, retention of detail and information in jiu-jitsu is like a separate skill in itself. That like, I could watch something on Reels and forget it the next day. Do you know what I mean? Like, my attention span, like most people's now, is probably shot. Generally,
Mine's terrible. My memory's
largely
terrible.
speaking. So it's like, imagine trying to like learn a move, or you've only seen this thing for the first time. Like, the amount of times people will come to me and say like, I saw this thing the other day, like, and then they'll try something, and then eventually they go and find the video, and it's like, what they had just tried is entirely different. Do you know what I mean? From what they're actually practicing. So you would need like the AI corrective tool to be like watching two people train in a room this size from all angles and saying like, no, Robert, put your left hand here. Do you know? Or some other character, Marge Simpson, telling you like how to do something better.
See,
like, you know?
What I'm wondering is, can it really teach because it hasn't been on the receiving end of the move to know what it's like?
Well, it would only be relaying information that it had learned from a source. So if the best armbar teacher in the world released instructional and it was very comprehensive, and the AI learned off that, what it's saying back is just repeating information from someone else. It's not the AI's opinion on what the perfect submission is. It's reusing the other fella's
it's the
content.
general populace of what it's thought. Do you know what I learned a while ago? And this could be a true fact, could be false, but it sounds like it could be true. Do you know when you're trying to log into the website and the e-capita thing comes up?
Yeah.
And it's like, we're going to prove you're a human, so pick the 4 photos with buses on it.
Yeah.
Or pick all the spaces where a bus is.
Yeah.
Apparently for years we've been training the AI on that.
By doing that, on how to do it.
So that's why it's always buses, hills, bikes, cars, roads, bridges, because obviously a lot of them is based around traffic, because the first ones we were trying to use it for was for autonomous driving.
Oh no.
So now it's either completely false and it's just a way to prove we're human, or the fact is true, and for years we had...
one of the ones now though is like when they go, a new image keeps coming. So it's like you have to keep going until
Yes.
you've just got 9 images that have none of the things in it.
And it doesn't tell you how many you have to get, so there's no end.
Yeah, so like you could just be
Sitting there 5 minutes.
for my next merch drop. I might take the piss and have like a big, like, see the amount of abandoned car checkouts that you get from people trying to do like a captcha thing or something like that. That'd be insane.
Yeah. But no, sounds like it actually could be true, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is. That for years they've been using us
That
to
you're
train,
just training like an AI system
because it's proved you're human by passing the test. So you're training the AI to realize a human says that's a bus, a human says that's a bridge.
Yeah, this thing is a bus.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I've been conned all along.
Well, I've never been in a self-driving car, but I know I probably will in the next year, and that's going to be a scary experience.
My sister's car can park itself. So if you pull up outside...
Good for women, huh?
Good for women.
No, sorry, I don't mean that at all. I don't mean that. Don't mean it. Don't mean it. That's a joke. Misogynist joke. I don't mean it. I'm sorry. It's
He
not
means
funny at all.
every word.
No, I don't.
But so it'll parallel park.
Plenty of my free male friends can parallel park. Plenty, like I have plenty of friends who can park. Female friends who can park.
Well, anyway, her car can parallel park, right? And I tried it one day. That thing parked that fucking car quicker than I would.
Really?
I swear to God, like I pulled up beside the car, put it in reverse, it popped up saying activate like assisted parking or something. It tells you to take your feet off the pedals, hands at the wheel, and this thing just fucking went back. The wheel fucking spin like that, and I like 2 seconds later I was like perfectly parallel parked. And I'm like, that was better than I would have done it. But I'm a man, so I never used it again.
You would never use that system.
I never used it again.
Yeah.
But in my head, I was like, that was scary.
You probably tried to explain to the car how it could have done it a little bit better in the future.
I'm yeah. It's like if you feel
not bad, but what I would have done
Yeah.
is I would have went in at this, and done it that way.
Yeah. Now the pensioner took out in the way in, didn't say that.
But
I wouldn't hit the pensioner.
Well, in one of them new modern, I've asked 3 Uber drivers in good Teslas abroad, will you let it drive by itself? He's like, I can't. He's like, with you here, I can't. Like, you could go back to Uber and say, you let me, and like that I just fucking decided not to drive and let the self-driving thing go. Anyway, they wouldn't do it. But like on the display, like you can now see people. Like the sensors that come up, like if you're on a street, it'll show you like people who are on the street beside you, like as little characters walking and stuff like that. It'll show you how close the car is. Or your 2 cameras all around the place. Like mad. There will be like no need for driving and stuff like that, I suppose, in the future. But that's just a better reason for someone to be able to hack your car then and veer you off the side of the road. I'll just stick to a diesel car that like is having severe trouble. Like I would just rather like the car naturally combust as opposed to like somebody controlling it from abroad. Like
I'm a big fan of like an actual combustion engine, but I think that's maybe like a car and like sort of motorsport fan.
Not a car or motorsport.
I do appreciate the hypercars and how like insane they are, where they're like dual engines. The performance is ridiculous, but in terms of a full battery, I don't think I would get one.
That'd be the man to talk to about, not me. Yeah, he's the car man.
The car man.
Have I kept you late?
No, we're moving down the list.
We're done.
So we're down in the media, podcasting, and the MMA world. So I have a few questions here that my friend Ryan, who actually is big into the industry.
Is this the man that doxed me?
Doxed you?
Doxed me. Where you had mentioned about the consistently above average t-shirt and somebody knew about it, or somebody had you had mentioned a fella Andrew who does jiu-jitsu got t-shirts off me, and
yes,
like,
and he
Andrew McGahon.
He knew, he knew.
That's him then.
So these questions are going to be a lot more structured than mine.
Thank you, Ryan.
Mine. So give me a second here. You were one of very few covering MMA in Ireland at a time when there wasn't exactly a blueprint for breaking into the industry. What was the first piece of MMA content you produced, and what made you believe this could actually turn into a career rather than just a passion project or hobby?
I don't think I did an interview at that first show that I went to in 2010. I don't think I did one for the radio then, but maybe like the next show after that or the one after that, like sometime around 2010 or early 2011. I know that by 2011 I was definitely doing audio interviews on a like tiny Zoom H1N recorder.
Yes.
And uploading that through like SoundCloud or something like that, and it was going out through an English website or an Irish website. But the first bit of thing I would have been doing was like something to do with the radio anyway. And probably the thing that made me realize that it could be a job legitimately probably wasn't until 2016 when like one interview that we did got like $2,000 in YouTube revenue, which I've now learned, had we got that views in that short amount of time 10 years later, would be worth like 10 grand, if not more, because like there's more ad money now and stuff in YouTube and whatever. And also like we didn't have Reels or TikTok or like easy shareable social media content. Like
to drive
phones, like phones were great, like phones were good, but if you were to use a HTC Desire now compared to like when you got it in 2012, you'd be like, oh, this is
antique
shit, I'm not using it. Like, do you know what I mean? So just outside of that, the first time that I went to a UFC in America, I was 20, and like my friend had to come to the hotel and pretend that I was staying. He was staying with me because they wouldn't let me check into the hotel because I was under 21.
Oh really?
Just whatever hotel I had booked, they had a policy like you had to be over 21. He was like, we can put someone else's name on the booking if there's anyone else you know in Boston. And I rung someone, they came down and showed ID, and I stayed there. But we did an interview with Chael Sonnen, who was at that event, and like to kind of go from like local, domestic, whatever fighters, and then to like a huge star in the sport. I was kind of like, oh wow, that was when you kind of like felt like you were there. But like in terms of like how you could make money from it, it wasn't 3 years further down the line before I probably felt that. But like we did often, and again, like not to be sidetracked, like we had a really good writer involved, a guy called Pizzi. I believe I was very good on camera, very good on interviewing. We had Graham, very good at doing the website, and we had Gavin, Paddy, and people like that who would help, who were doing documentaries for RTE, and also would film some of my interviews. Graham could film as well. I think we were missing a salesperson, a marketing person, and
or to sell the services.
Otherwise, we would have been through the roof early. Yeah, a sales and a marketing person, a con man, essentially, someone who could lie to a brand and say,
talk.
You should give these guys money to go around the world. Like that's what we needed.
The dream.
In exchange for promoting X product. What's Ryan's next question?
Before you had major access, how did you go about building relationships with local fighters, promoters and managers from Ireland? Was there a particular region show or moment that happened where doors really started to open for you?
Very funny, Ryan. But the local show that I went to was called Cage Contender. That guy was very good to us to a degree. He like would give the website exclusives and stuff, but like what is an exclusive for a show that sells 1,000 tickets in Belfast? Do you know what I mean? Compared to finding out about a UFC fight, like your scale of everything changes. Again, I'd love to say by working hard, being respectful, doing the right things at the right time. It was Graham, the guy that ran the website. He was producer for documentaries. He knew what he was talking about with a lot of things, and he would be the guy who would like do a lot of the adult talking with people. I was just the fella standing in front of the microphone. Like you'd get to know these people in this sort of way. But like I infantized myself so much because I was so young. It was like 18, 19, 20 doing these interviews. And then 21, 22, 23, them doing interviews that are getting millions of views. Whereas like everyone else seemed like adults. Everyone else was an adult.
So do you always think of yourself as like a baby in the industry?
To a degree, in that sort of way. It's like, well, I'm only like doing this for the laugh. You know, it's these guys that are trying to do everything. I'm just here doing this thing because I like doing it. So yeah, like great, like, and like I had a phone call with Graham recently, and we were on the phone for about an hour, and I was so gutted that I didn't like keep a little bit more in touch with him over the last couple of years, or like see him a lot more over the last couple of years, because he was like the one guy who like reluctantly, like he wouldn't admit it, like, but he believed in me a lot, like, you know, and he would encourage me a lot, but he would never let me get too big headed with a lot of stuff. He'd bring me back down very well. Like he was.
Would there be an opportunity to go back?
Oh, Graham's like severe MMA is an entirely different thing now, and that's nothing against. Like, the world is different now, content is different. Graham is a kid, do you know what I mean? My friend Sean, who I did a podcast with there for a while, he's doing it now, sometimes with Graham, sometimes with a guy called Ian, sometimes with someone else. They have another podcast on the website. Like, it's not about a thing about going back. It's about looking forward. It's always about looking forward, guys. No, despite doing a 2-hour podcast about talking about what I've done 10 years ago, I probably didn't appreciate at the time what we were actually doing, or how it could have been better, and we were very much on vibes. Do you know what I mean? On like,
you didn't
go like,
you didn't realize you were in the early days of something huge, really?
No, not at all. Like, yeah, there wasn't a blueprint of somebody in Ireland doing it, but there was a very clear blueprint of Ariel doing it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that was like, there was a blueprint there. But for me, I was just like, I was talking about this word recently with people. Like, I used to consider myself a conduit.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently people in the north say it a little bit differently. I'm not saying like conduit, mate. It's conduit. Conduit. Not in the electrician or the plumbing sense.
Conduit.
Yeah. Conduit. Yeah. Just a pass through.
Yeah.
Pass through of information. Pipe. I'm trying to ask a question that what?
A pipe.
Yeah, a pipe. I'm a pipe. I'm trying to ask a question of someone that I want to know the answer to, and maybe somebody at home sitting watching it will become a fan of that person. And then, I didn't know he liked that thing.
Well, that's essentially what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know,
it's basically what all of these things are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I probably wasn't too unique in thinking that. No. Do you know what I mean? But I was like, you're a pipe of information. You facilitate the shit that goes from the toilet to the waste.
I never thought.
There are different quality of pipes. Certain pipes are used.
Hold on. You can't make us any better, but I never thought it'd be called a pipe as a compliment before.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
You've a way with words, Andrew.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, Next. When you
started, what doors were opened for pathways?
When you started out, did you feel respected by fighters and promoters, or did you have to earn that respect the hard way? Was there a specific moment or interview where you realised people were actually taking you seriously?
I think when more of them found out maybe that I trained, or if I'd ever been in a situation where I trained with people together, like that probably helped a little bit as well. So
it was the training thing where they respected.
Yeah, but I also think that like the relationships that you build with them. So for example, if we found out that somebody had a fight somewhere, but we were told in confidence, that was never us that were leaking it. Do you know what I mean? It was never going to be us that would breach that confidence. So like, if someone tells you something off the record, that's off the record. Like, and you respect that. Otherwise, if it gets out or comes back to that person, they're never going to tell you anything again. Do you know what I mean? There can be some form of like maybe deniability from the people who do that if it was ever said in front of a load of people. Do you know what I mean? But if someone tells you something off the record, you have to assume you're the only person that they've told that to.
Why would someone tell you something off the record?
I don't know. Like, I never, again, like, it wasn't like I was ever doing like, so anything I would have done was on camera with the intention of being published.
Yeah.
It's not as if I was a written journalist who was waiting for the go-ahead to publish something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I need to tell you this, but it's going to be off the record. Like, if we were on a camera here, I can't be like, I need to tell you something, but it's going to be off the record.
Yeah.
Because
the
cameras are rolling. So like, I have to be prepared for that or anything I've said since the camera started to be in some capacity on the record. The Draw had a manager a couple of weeks ago giving off about Dundalk when there was a hot mic and a camera recording him, which I do think is a bad act anyway, but like, don't stand in front of a camera and assume that it's not on and shit talk somebody and that it might not leak. Do you know what I mean?
I think you have to be careful now. There's too many cameras.
Oh yeah, well, like your phone is personalised shopping for you at any moment, like based off what you're talking about, you like and don't like. But
that scares me.
Like that side of like, did anyone like, was there one particular interview that whatever? I would like to think that people that watch them who are fighters appreciated the questions that I might have asked. Maybe like I did. So from going, I did Sometimes I went to the events by myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I went with another person. Sometimes I had people I was trying to like train up to use cameras. I could barely use it at the time myself. Something that I insisted on doing that I think was really important and kind of changed the scope of domestic interviews. I would record the fights as best as I could, and then ultimately someone else would take over that job. Someone else would record them. I would watch them, and then I would say to your man, you kept throwing this particular shot. Why did you do it? Was it something you'd worked on in training? How did training camp go? Sharpening up that left in camp? Like, whatever. But you have a multiple camera angle set up here, which means to keep the attention span of the people watching at home, you can cut this as many times as you need to. And people will happily watch something that is stimulating and changing. If we were sitting here with one camera recording us the whole way through, you would not get as... Well, you would get as many views because of your guest.
Because you're here.
But apart from that, you wouldn't get as many. So what I'm trying to say is, he's shaking his head here. He's done with this. What I'm trying to say is that I would ask them about that part of the fight, and then I would overlay that footage. So if someone's watching an interview with me from someone from 2013 or 2014 at a local Irish MMA show, I'm asking them about stuff that happened in the fight, and we're using the footage over the top of the interview. So it cuts and it cuts and it cuts. And you see fight highlights in the interview. And I think that was very important, because it was like anchoring content that then made the people... It's the equivalent of the GTA explosion videos in the bottom of reels now, to keep your attention for a little bit longer. So we would do stuff like that. I think doing that, having more of an interest, whatever, I think that kind of helped with like them respecting me a little bit more. Maybe none of them did. Maybe. I can't speak for them.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by Branded Merch. Do your t-shirts look like they came free with the meal deal? Are you sick of merch and uniforms that look cheap, logos that peel, and tees that shrink after one wash? So are we. At Branded, we make merch that your team will actually want to wear. Whether it's uniforms, event gear, your own brand drops, or community merch, we've got you covered. We use premium blanks, proper printed embroidery, and we're upfront and honest about what works, what doesn't, and most importantly, what looks and feels great. No minimums, quick turnaround, and yeah, we actually care about the end product. If you're listening to this and thinking my team could do with some better threads, visit brandedlimited.co and let's make it happen. That's brandedltd.co. And as a listener to this podcast, first time customers can get 10% off with code roundtable10 at checkout. So, again, Rand's last question here before we go back to a couple of mine. Rand actually worked in the Irish MMA media outlet for a while, covered both local and bigger shows like Bellator, Brave, Cage Warriors. He'd done a bit of videography for them and stuff, and photo for them. He told me that sometimes he was told not to say certain things online about fighters or promotions because it might affect their coverage. Early on, did you feel pressure to stay on good terms with everyone to protect access? And how did you balance honest reporting with maintaining relationships?
Yeah, I can understand where that would come from. And I understand that you might have to do that. Like, we used an example of Ariel earlier on. He doesn't need to go to the events anymore. But the events are now entirely different from what they were to begin with. So what it used to be, just use UFC as an example, what it used to be was maybe a big, huge room, people sitting on a stool with their name next to them, and they would be there for 1 hour. And it's like, go and talk to whoever you want. So a lot of people might crowd around John Jones and whatever. And someone would maybe think like, well, my job for today is the majority of people that want to watch this are just going to want to hear everything that comes out of John Jones' mouth. So I'm going to stay here with my camera. I'm going to get your questions that you're asking him, yours that you're asking him, yours that you're asking him. And I'm going to put everything out as mine. But there are 4 prelim fighters who are sitting on their phone in the corner of the room who aren't talking to people. That would have been your opportunity to build a rapport with these lower card fighters and do a good interview with them. Maybe they'll remember you, maybe they'll share it, maybe whatever. And sometimes you'd be better off thinking like, I'm better to get 10 interviews than the one long one. Do you know what I mean? Now, view-wise, that wouldn't have paid off. That wouldn't have been whatever. But now it changes. So now they're just all brought out onto a table, a press conference, and people ask them questions. And then everyone has the same footage, everyone has the same questions, everyone has the same thing, because it's easier on the athlete. Yeah. But it also like removes the barrier of like someone being able to ask them like, here, fucking, you should be getting paid way more than this, shouldn't you? Like UFC, like you should be getting more than 10 grand here. Like, it's a bit of a joke, isn't it? Like, you're removing the barrier for the fighter having to answer or be asked an uncomfortable question. Because now, instead, what it is it's like, are you going to put your hand up in the lecture hall and ask the person who's sitting at the desk, do you think you should be paid more money? When the PR staff are like standing looking at you like this.
You'll have it back.
Yeah, he doesn't have the balls to ask that question again. And if he does, we'll take his. Do you know what I mean? Whatever. So it's like, I probably felt pressured to, like, for example, if I was ever teetering the line of being like a very pro company UFC man at any point, I got an exclusive interview with Dana White in 2014 in Dublin. And I got it because an Irish guy was a high executive in the UFC at the time. And we had met at a few different events, saw the interviews, liked me. There was a handful of different executives that I got on with, and then there was some who didn't know I existed. But there was ones who did know and who gave me good opportunities and got me interviews or got me whatever. Yeah, you can get him at this time, whatever. But I like asked Dana, like, oh, do you have anything that can measure how loud the crowd's going to be? Because it's probably going to be the most loudest crowd like you'll ever have in the Three Arena. And he's like, can we do that? Can we do that? Can we get a thing? Because you asked that question, because you said that, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. All of this sort of stuff. And I was like, Dana White said he's going to do something because I suggested it. I was like, this is such a nice warm feeling. And it's like, but I wasn't getting paid for doing that. I was attempting to try and get paid for it. And I think if I had been offered a job by someone who was going to call me a journalist, then I would have had to learn, like, don't mix business with pleasure. You can't be friends with the promoter. Yeah. You're doing a job, you're whatever. But the truth and the reality of a lot of that is that it's not as if that there was a endless supply of stable wage paying jobs for people to be journalists covering the sport of mixed martial arts. Like, people could argue that the traditional journalists and whatever from before who would have written scathing critiques of the UFC and their policies and this and that, like, that's not selling. Do you know what I mean? That can be replaced with an AI YouTube faceless account that generates content that makes more money, that's being ran by a couple of 20-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? Like, that whole thing is gone.
I'd say if I say something to faceless AI,
20 UFC facts to fall asleep to. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of these things are huge.
I think AI content has ruined YouTube.
Did I answer that question? Just repeat that question to me once, because I just want to make sure. And did I feel pressure?
Did you feel pressure to stay on good terms with everyone to protect access?
So, like, ultimately then, like, when I ended up taking a job, like, with the Mac Life, so, like, Connor obviously owned that. So, like, in my head, I was like, I'm just basically getting paid to do the same thing that I was doing, and I'm no longer impartial. I no longer have to be perceived to be impartial, because it's very clearly who I'm working for. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? In that case, this is no problem anymore. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, and there was a part of me thought, like, oh, but you wanted to be a reporter, you wanted to be that. But I thought I saw that it didn't happen as quick as I thought, but I thought I saw the landscape changing in that, like, this golden tree of jobs of journalism. Do you know what I mean? That's not going to last. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. They're not as plentiful as they'd be. And the way that people will make a name for themselves in the future is through independent creation. It's through, like, doing their own thing, building their own names, interviewing people through Zoom, interviewing people, whatever. How
did that job with McGregor's company with the Mac Life come up? Because at the time, I'm sure that was like a golden, because he was becoming massive. So, like, was that like the golden egg at the time for you?
It was made in the summer of 2016. I had initially been asked. I said no. Didn't really fancy it. Wanted to kind of stay with Severe MMA. Wanted to try and keep doing what we were doing with Severe MMA. Was in debt. Finding it hard to cover these events. Was getting a lot of help from my parents. Working in a nightclub, okay, but not enough. When there's a fight in Vegas in December, fight in Vegas in March, fight in Vegas in July. Yeah. Which happened, like, in the space of a couple of months. Or went in July, then back in August. Like,
not cheap.
So I was in Vegas 4 times once from December to August. Do you know what I mean? And staying over there and whatever, and it is insane. And then whatever. And then got a call from what I think, Facebook Messenger, saying like, look, this is what we want to do with it. Why not just get paid for doing what you're already doing? And why not get to go to all of these UFC events and not have to worry about all of this sort of stuff?
It's a good argument.
And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Do you know what I mean? So, and that was very hard. And there was I was doing the Severe MMA podcast at the time, and I can remember like crying and stuff like that on the episode and stuff. And I was like, oh, I just feel like I'm letting people down and stuff like that. And then I probably had never felt as empowered in my life afterwards, because I was getting messages from people all over the world who were saying like, I listen, I'm an Irish who lives in wherever. I listen every Tuesday. I'm going to follow you wherever you go. You shouldn't feel sorry for anything. You shouldn't, like, you're doing the right thing for you. This is all about you, blah, blah, blah. And that kind of helped it. But like, again, something thanks to Jiu-Jitsu that I've learned since that anchors me very much. The fella who's living in Idaho who's telling you, love that interview, you're great, listen to you every week. You take that on board. The fella from New Zealand who thinks that this is the worst interviewer ever and he should kill himself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Neither of those two things really matter in the grand scheme of things. Through jiu-jitsu and through whatever, you have like a constant daily feedback and interaction with people, like not characters online. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing.
You get instant feedback, like, did it work, did it not work?
Yeah, or just like your relationships are based off the real world as opposed to what a person, how many people are listening to your podcast, how many people are listening to your interviews, what people think about it, are you good, are you not? Like, you do have to get to a certain point to just like not give a fuck about that sort of stuff anymore. But like, ultimately, if you want to make something profitable and you want to make it good, you're going to have to care about that sort of stuff at the start. Do you know what I mean? You're going to have to care about what people think. So like, I do think in the end it ended up being like a very easy decision, and the experiences that I got from it, the travel, the just the like exposure to a degree, like, and where you got to go and what you got to do and the interviews that you got, and like turn it into a job and stuff like that. Like, that was just unlike anything I could have expected.
So I know that was Conor McGregor's company. Was he hands on at all? Did he steer the ship, or was it just like sort of outsourced to?
Since I've gone, maybe a little bit more, but I definitely had an input. But it was like friends of his that had experience with that sort of stuff had set it up, and people who were like cameramen and different stuff, and all of that sort of stuff kind of came together. It was definitely like a bit by bit. One of the, and I probably say this to people anytime I go into Bunsen, which is the single greatest burger in history. One of the guys who was involved with the Mac Life invented Bunsen's menu.
Oh really? The week yard?
Credit card style, because he was only 16 when he was consulting for them. He had his own company and stuff at this time. He was like, well, you're only going to do this, so you don't need a big menu. If you're only going to do burgers and cheeseburgers, just have it small. People can take it. They'll remember it. It'll become a talking point. Blah, 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 blah. And here I am talking about it 13 years later. That's where the menu comes from.
Would you have had journalistic freedom working with a Mac Life if you covered any McGregor's fights? Or would they have been?
Well, I was never told.
Never told.
Don't say this. Don't say that. I can unequivocally say I was never told. Talk about this. Don't talk about that. Do this. Do that. You're a paid mouthpiece. Get up and do what we want you to say. That had never happened in any sort of conversation. Did I purposely pull a certain thing? Fucking of course. Yeah. Because the job was no longer journalistic integrity. This is content creation. This is like Vince McMahon used to say, we are not professional wrestling, we are sports entertainment. Yeah. Professional wrestling is a dirty word in Vince McMahon's eyes. We are sports entertainment. A makeup artist, a terrible comparison, but a makeup artist's job on a person's wedding day is to make them look and feel better than they've ever felt before in their life. Mm-hmm. Right? Me doing that job was essentially the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not going to turn around to someone who trained in the gym and say, coming up in this fight, think you might lose this one. There's a chance you might lose this one. I'm not feeling too hot about this one. like a training partner or someone from the gym or someone from whatever. Like, maybe beforehand, when I wasn't there, maybe on a podcast I might have said, don't fancy his chances in this one. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
You might be able to do it, but it's going to be tough. Like, that sort of thing was eradicated. Do you know what I mean? So, like, never told directly, probably pulled certain things subconsciously. Do you know what I mean? But, like, we were all, in theory, do you know what I mean? Like, this is what the whole idea was. We're all pushing the same wheel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Pushing the same wheel at the top of a hill will get it to roll downhill and create the momentum faster. You know, gather the moss quicker. Instead of, like, me trying to, like, pull it backwards. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Being like, no!
Oh, that last fight was shit.
Don't try and get more people to buy the pay-per-view. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Don't fucking do that. Like, no way.
What about the time you were there then? Like, did that company scale quick? Or was it a hard one to push?
No, they got, like, maybe, like, again, the guy...
How long were you working for the company?
Not long. Like, not long overall. Like, less than, maybe just 2 years.
2 years.
Just about 2 years. And then jiu-jitsu became the priority. But, like, for me, that guy, the Bunsen guy I was telling you about, Carl, he was a great guy. He was, like, so far ahead. He was like, people are going to use Instagram to buy stuff. So, if you're wearing a pair of New Balances with affiliate links, we can put a picture, we can put a link to those New Balances on, and then people can buy it, and then we'll get money for that. You know, he was, like, years ahead of that being a thing, and it ultimately did become a thing. Now, not as big of a thing as maybe they thought it would, but it was a thing. So it scaled in that way. But there was, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 people that I would have, like, interacted with regularly, and then, like, maybe other, like, video and content people and stuff like that would come in and help and do certain things. And I have no idea how it is going now, or it's going better than ever, like, in my opinion. Like, I would watch their press conference videos quicker than I'd watch a UFC one. Because, like, I know that it's going to be up. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, again, I feel a bit, like, weird even, like, talking about it from an objective perspective, but it's like, what they did was so smart. Like, everything went up after I left, without a doubt. So, like, I'm, like, praising this massively. Like, I probably like held this whole thing back by 2 years. But, like, right, Andrew's not doing this anymore. We've Oscar, who lives in America, great guy. Let's send him to every event. Let's spend the money to send him to every event possible, so that people will begin to know, and the algorithm will begin to know that the Mac Life will have this video. Yeah. Whether it's a boxing, MMA, whatever, send them everywhere. Whether it's for a day or two or not, send them to everything. Tell them to get it uploaded as quick as possible. And that's how we build it. And that's how they built it. And now they have, like, I think 1.3 million subscribers on YouTube. It's a huge account. Their numbers do better on a lot of other MMA outlets, more esteemed, longer serving MMA outlets. And even if it is just the people up at the press conference table giving off to people and whatever like that, they have the subscriber base that helps that do it. I'd imagine ad revenue and stuff like that is now much more lucrative. Sponsorship, brand deals, much more lucrative. I would guess it's paying for itself. Comfortably paying for itself. Paying for all wages, paying for all whatever. And I've no idea. And I don't mean to, like, talk about it because it's not my thing. It's not my whatever. I'm just saying, like, it's doing that well from the outside. It's definitely doing that well.
Do you ever regret leaving?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. If I'm being honest, yeah, I do. And the reason I regret leaving was, like, I've had this. Oscar and I actually met each other a month or two ago. Unfortunately, it was at a funeral of a friend of ours, and Oscar had become very, very close with this guy over the years. He had helped Oscar so much, and I was like, I, like, was devastated finding out about this, and I got to see all of these people that I hadn't seen for so long, and I went over to it, and I was, like, so, like, I don't know, like, just chatting with people about, like, oh, do you ever want to come back and stuff, and I was like, now I can say, like, no, but for, like, imagine, like, during COVID, right? So, like, I might have still been, I I can't remember for definite just thinking of this, but COVID like reopened and like Fight Island was happening and like events are happening in isolation and quarantine and stuff like that. I was thinking like, fuck, be mad to be at them.
I'd love to be there.
It'd be class to be like able to go, to be one of the people being like, some guard stopping you on the M1 being like, you're outside of your 2-kilometer radius, you're not allowed on the motorway. It's like, I'm actually going to Abu Dhabi, mate. There's a chartered flight waiting for me in London. You actually
going to work here.
Here's my note. Do you know what I mean? See you later. Do you know what I mean? License and registration thing. Like, good luck. Missed it from that perspective. Someone like Israel Adesanya, who I thought was brilliant. Like, he's nearly like up and on his way out already from the last time I set foot at a UFC event. Would have loved to have like seen that man in person. That man had like an aura at his peak. It was like he like understood the game differently. He knew what he was at. Do you know what I mean? And like missing out on moments. So like the thing that was the most addictive about any of it was like the walkouts, the energy, sneaking in to the event when the UFC would give you a pass that would only allow you to be in the media room. And like feeling the atmosphere of like, for example, I massively miss and regret that I've never experienced an Alexander Volkanovski walkout in Australia. So big UFC fighter fighting in Perth, walkout, watch the video all the time. He walks out to men at work down under. Do you know what I mean? Massively like miss and those sort of like energy and atmospheres, because like that was the most addictive thing in the world. Like being in the center of a chaotic bubble was huge.
There's something to be said for live events and live experiences.
That like, so I miss it in that sense, and I tremendously miss it in that sense, and I miss interviewing. I miss that sort of stuff, but the dynamic for it changed. So the thing that I miss doesn't exist anymore. It's the same way I miss my ma. She's now in a little box in our hallway. Do you know what I mean? Mary's ashes. Do you know what I mean? Cremated. Like, I can't change that. Do you know what I mean? So I would have to like do a lot of different things and change a lot of different things to make it go back to the way that it was. But you learn in like addiction therapy and stuff like that and whatever, it's a thing called euphoric recall. So you are trying to get the thing when it was at its peak. Yeah. The person on a come down in Ibiza watching the sun go down for the second or third time when they've gotten used to handling the substance that they're putting their body, thinking like, fuck, this will never get it. This is unreal. We're staying up for another day. Do you know what I mean?
Chasing the dragon.
It's me. Yeah, well, we never chased it fully, like, thankfully, touch wood. But like me in Las Vegas, standing outside the MGM at 5 o'clock in the morning, sleep deprived, smoking a joint, and Tony Ferguson comes running past, shadowboxing. We're walking around the corner, Tony Ferguson's shadowboxing, throwing his little ball up in the air. We're like, oh, well, Tony, well done last night. And this is the night after his fight, and he's out fucking shadowboxing in front of the MGM. He's like, thanks, brother. You know what I mean? And you're just walking past. Like, or you're in the sun, you're in the MGM casino, and there's thousands of Irish people wearing GA jerseys. If they did this slightly, the colour palette would be so different because they'd be sunburnt all the way down their arms and bits.
Like a Swatchy sweat.
Meeting all of these people, being in Las Vegas on a Saturday night, but standing behind the bar on a Monday, and they're like, "Why are you here?" They're like, "Did I not hear you at the press conference?" Asked Dana Crash, and I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "And why are you here?" And it's like, "Because that was on Saturday, and this is on Monday." Yeah. I was like, "And I'm back." Like, and I used to say this to my dad as well. Like, me and my dad are allergic. Most of the times allergic to driving a car to an airport or asking someone for a lift from an airport. This man has had to collect me a few times, but we've a great bus service, the 100X. Fucking why do I need you to spend 30 quid in diesel when the 100X will get me there an hour later? It's fine. Yeah. I used to love, for whatever reason, getting off that bus on a Monday morning and wheeling my suitcase home from an event. Coming through the town, because everything's back, everything's where it's meant to be. The coffee shop's there, the credit union's there, home bakery's there, your shops are there. Like you have just been transported from an entirely different world. Right. Now you're back to like a destimulating, calming norm. And now I've got jiu-jitsu at 12 o'clock. I have to go to jiu-jitsu.
There's a quote from The Office, which is stupid, but it's like, it says, I wish there was a way to know we're in the good old days when we're in the good old days.
Yeah.
Did you realise they were the days when you were there?
No, I think we said that earlier on. Like, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Like, definitely...
Like, you talked about Tony Ferguson around past Shadowbox and you just smoking a joint. Like, did that catch you? Go, fuck me.
No, because you were so used to it. Used to it in theory at that point. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you'll remember or think about different things that happened that you think, looking back and say, like, that was a bit mad. Like, for his movie premiere in Dublin, I interviewed him in front of the entire cinema. But it was also the last ever movie premiere to ever be held in that cinema, because they knocked the screen and turned it into two smaller ones. So, like, every major Irish release had a movie premiere and stuff like that.
Part of history?
Well, minor part of history in that sense. Something like that. Bumping into a famous chef in the service elevator of Madison Square Garden because I took a wrong turn and couldn't get out of the building. And then a security guard was like, you're not meant to be. Go in that elevator and get out. And I was like, all right, grand. This is like the famous Madison Square Garden service elevator that you'll see like people walking in and out of. And I was like, I was in that. And I shouldn't have been. Those sort of things are just like, you couldn't, like, I'm not, like, you don't want to say, oh, I took them for granted, because who cares? Yeah. Like, literally, they're a person. You bumped into them once. They never remember you existed. Do you know what I mean? Who cares? Something funny to tell him when you come home. Something funny to tell your mom when you come home. Whatever. Like, those things don't really matter. But it's not like a pinch me thing, but it's like very much appreciative, even if it helps somebody in the future that I might end up teaching or coaching or training with for a while or whatever. Like, having experienced it and stuff like that, and then kind of seeing the situation that people are in right now. With Bellator, and Ryan didn't know Bellator, and this is now gone, or PFL or whatever, like, people were getting signed because all these companies cared about. They don't care about the development of the Irish fighter. It's not like they have a pension. It's not like they have whatever. The television executives, the Americans that have a company card, the TV executive that's job is to try and like sign brand deals in Europe. MENA. We're going big in MENA this year, guys. We're going big in MENA. That stands for Middle East, Asia, Africa, or whatever. That's not MENA, but MENA means something like that, right? Get me a deal in MENA. And these people, with the most amount of love in the world, it's a different culture. We've got a team dinner at 7. Everyone will be in the lobby. We're going to have some drinks and we're going to have, you know what I mean? I actually would rather have gotten to McDonald's and gone to jiu-jitsu. And I'm in this foreign country. And I don't understand how these dynamics work. And that's what started to like change it for me a little bit. Do you know what I mean? That it's like, this isn't the thing that you had like loved. And this was actually after I'd left MMA entirely. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, that whole like dynamic was just so different. And I was like, and I have gone on a tangent there because it like dragged me into it a little bit.
I'm just letting you talk.
Yeah, how did I get to that? I'm sorry. These people.
It's about missing it and why you left.
No, but it was more so that like, and for me, I got very lucky that I then got my expenses covered and was paid to do it. Right? So, someone who doesn't drink, whatever. I would feel guilty about giving receipts for like my food and my drink, because in my head I would be like, I can fucking like, I'll get it. Don't worry. You've done enough to get me there. Do you know what I mean? That's all good. Don't sweat the 6-pack of Pepsi. Do you know what I mean? I've got that. They're like, no, this is on the company. Do you know what I mean? Get the steak. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, we're staying in this hotel for a reason. We're here working for the company. And like, whoever the company are, I've never met them. They probably don't know I exist. But there's somebody in between the company and me who's telling me, get that steak. You're here, get that steak. Or telling somebody else, like not necessarily telling me. And like, I just found that to be so, like, even if it is coming off a billionaire entity, company or whatever, who will never know that it's never been done, that never sat right with me in the slightest, for whatever reason. Just like, it's taking the piss. It's like taking the hand to such an extreme degree that it's like, who are you to decide that you deserve more there? Do you know what I mean? To me, it soured me off so. And like, I've had so limited experiences with those situations, but I had heard and experienced so much of them from the people who were like adjacent to or on. Like, there was, I'm doxing myself here fully with this example, and I don't really mind, but I had worked at an event in London before, and the people I were working with were great, but they wanted to meet some people from home. Grand. Working in finance in London, Canary Wharf, worst place in London by a country mile. There are no shops, everything is underground, no daylight. There's private security going around the place. Banks are worth so much. This fella, relatively off his head on substances and drink, at 3:30 in the day, working in finance, done for the day, praying that he gets fired the following day, because then he'll be able to take 8 of his clients and walk straight into another bank and get a huge signing on bonus so that he can afford more stuff, more opulence, more whatever, and then fuck over his previous employer and then go to the new one. And he doesn't care because the money will go up because it'll be a new job. He'll have all these new signing clients, and the world just keeps going, baby. And the world just keeps going. In between going like, standing outside a pub in Canary Wharf while telling you this story. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just kind of like, I had like, that had like so made my decision up for me. I was like, I'm so glad that I'm here to experience this, to reassure me that what I'm doing in jiu-jitsu is what I want to be doing.
You like the grittiness of the actual sport itself?
Well, like, the reason why I focused on jiu-jitsu was in 2018, I got a bronze medal at the Nogi Europeans. Best result I'd ever gotten. In my head, I was like, I had the summer off. We weren't working for the summer. And then it was leading up to that big Khabib fight. And I was like, all I was doing was just training full time. I was like, I knew going off to Vegas, and I told him, I was like, this is probably my last fight. I want to leave it at this. And the reason why was because I was like, athletically, I only have a short window to try and compete. But I can come back and talk whenever, assuming someone will have me or whatever. Yeah. Like, if I wanted to, I'll always be able to go back and do something like that.
Yeah.
But at 35, I won't be able to say I'm going to try and win an adult professional level world title in jiu-jitsu.
No, past your prime.
Do you know what I mean? So it was like, I made the decision for that. Then I did a couple of like other jobs and experiences, and that's how I ended up in London and meeting fucking those people. And I was like, nah, like, and I also, just for like transparency and clarity, like struggling with addiction, struggling with whatever, probably not in a professional position to be working there, probably stoned interviewing people anyway, and they were probably right not to continue our relationship in working anyway. They were definitely right not to. But like I said an hour and a half ago, there's a person listening to this being like, he didn't choose not to do that because he met a fella in Canary Wharf. He chose to not do it because he was like, during an interview. Do you know what I mean? And there's,
well, if that fella's still listening, he corrected himself.
Well, there's, and it's all about growth. There's probably, the truth is somewhere in the middle of those two stories anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Andrew, we've been talking for like
an
hour and like 2 hours 20 minutes. You're probably the longest
I'm
podcast.
really sorry about that.
No, you're all good. You can sit here for all 2 hours you want, but I will let you get home because you're probably training in the morning.
I am training at 6:30 in the morning, but I'll answer whatever's left. Right?
Well,
but
a couple of quick fire questions.
I'm listening, but yes. I'm gonna break just for keep asking me. The phone vibrated twice.
Yep.
And I just want to make sure my dad didn't like fall over and die while we were here.
We can keep rolling.
Yeah, no, he's grand.
Dad's grand. Happy days. Couple Couple of quick fire stupid questions for you, right? Just to end.
No such thing as a stupid question.
Good. What is the most humiliating thing that has ever happened to you on the mats?
That's a stupid fucking question.
Told you. Told you.
I've never shit myself. I've never pissed myself. I've never incontinence. I have vomited from training, from being whatever. I've been put to sleep before.
Or what's the most humiliating thing that you've experienced on the mats if it wasn't you? Somebody would make a weird noises or something.
I hadn't. Yeah, we have. Touch wood. We've been very lucky. I've heard horror stories from cities, from Dublin and Belfast and whatever, of individuals who like wander into gyms and may have like some sort of like wanting to be bet up type perversion.
Oh really?
Like, and would you beat me up for money and stuff like that? And they're like, sir, this is a martial arts academy, please leave, sort of thing. But other times those people like, and look, everyone's into whatever they're into, and that's fine. Sometimes these people sneak through the cracks and don't announce it at reception when they're coming in, but to start training with people for a couple of months.
Then the like sexual arousal with abuse.
Yeah, and then the then the moans and stuff like that happen. But as I said, touch wood, everyone that's ever walked in the door with us seems to be, to varying degrees, normal. You know, and if they weren't, they didn't stick around. So, thank God.
Have you ever rolled with someone who thought they were way better than they actually were?
You can't roll with yourself, but I'd say plenty of people have thought that about me after training with me. Have I ever rolled with someone who thought they were way better than they actually are? Yes, and I also like don't want to like confuse like enthusiasm with that, because somebody can be like super optimistic, super enthusiastic, asking you loads of questions, but they just don't know the right question to ask, and if that's the right one to ask yet.
No,
do you know?
But there's a line between that and these people who go on the X Factor and clearly can't fucking sing.
Yeah. I think that's a humiliation ritual. Yeah. I think that's some sort of thing that they have. Do you know what I mean? Being like this is my year. Simon's not going to be able to deny me this time. Yeah,
like I can't sing. I won't go to the X Factor.
No, let alone stand in the queue for 8 hours.
Yeah.
To be made take the piss out of and telly. I'd love to. A secondary show should be done following up with all the people who've had the most embarrassing things. Maybe now that they've matured a little bit, and say like, and why did you do that?
I would love to follow them in their day-to-day life and just see like what they do,
what they would get up to. So yeah, I don't think I have definitely rolled with people who maybe thought that they were a little bit better, but that's like, I have never, as far as I can remember, I don't think I've ever like maliciously, or for the most part, like never somebody that's still around or that didn't deserve it. I've never like.
Are you saying like you took them out then?
No. You've never like maliciously.
They're not here anymore.
No. Like don't train with us or don't train in that gym anymore. Never like maliciously or intently. I'm never an instigator. If somebody wants to like roll hard, and I wasn't expecting it, I'd be like, okay, if this is what we're doing, no problem. Do you know what I mean? That's fair enough. But you'd never like, I touch wood, hopefully have never been perceived as a gym bully type thing, like, you know.
What's the most ridiculous excuse you've heard from someone who tapped?
Oh yeah, we would say it was more of a crank. Say it wasn't a choke, it was more of a crank. Do you know what I mean? As if to like diminish your thing. Heard anything else ridiculous? Like, I've trained with people before who will explain to you after you've submitted them how you submitted them. It's like, I know I did it. It's like they're making like being like, oh, that only happened because of this. It's like, I know that. I'm aware of that. It's like, no, it happened because of this, and it's like, no, I know. You know, and maybe it's just like a tick or something. They don't mean it, but.
If someone was zero training and challenged you to a fight in a bar, how long would it take you to take them out?
I wouldn't be in a bar. I don't.
If someone was zero training and challenged you to a fight in a coffee shop, how long would it take you to take them out?
I don't think that I can come across in any positive light by answering that question. To be honest, like realistically, like you wouldn't. I have thought about this before. After that, I was like, if I were to ever be jumped again, I would absolutely want to be on their back, not choking them, restraining them, but interviewing them. Interviewing them. And like phone out, front camera on, like this. And being like,
how's your day been?
Why did you think this was a good idea? Like, this is a advertising tool, self-defense, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, come and learn with me. This fella, zoom in on the face, thought it was a good idea to do this, blah, 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 blah. I've always thought that would be a very funny video. If it wasn't staged, I've always thought that would be very funny. And just to say, the only reason I think that's as funny is a guy called Henzo Gracie did it before and like posted pictures of 2 black eyes, of guys with 2 black eyes. He was tweeting it. He was like, there's guys following me. They're going to try to jump me. And then he like posted pictures of guys with black eyes. But a friend of mine at one point, 13 years ago, after winning a Thai boxing tournament, got attacked and abused and whatever by a fella on the street who didn't know he was coming back with a gear bag with a trophy in it and boxing gloves and whatever. He put him in a triangle and recorded it for Snapchat. But it was before the time that you could like save these things and like keep them forever and whatever. God. So he put him in a triangle, put him to sleep, filmed it, got up and walked away. And then that guy ended up in court 3 months later because he thought the guy went into a different house, went up to it, broke a window, started shouting at the house saying, come out and fight me, you coward, all of this sort of stuff. And then he found this months later, like, and it's all online. It happened in Manchester. It was brilliant.
Online holds everything forever. What's the biggest myth people believe about fighting because of movies?
Biggest myth about fighting because of movies. Well, could you give me an example of a myth that you might have about fighting? A perception that you have about fighting because of a movie?
Number one, you can block punches. Like you see a lot of martial artists like block.
Yeah,
you're not blocking
like that.
Shit. Yeah.
Biggest myth about fighting. Well, obviously that it's never. Like, and again, like I also hate using the word fight. Yeah. People who do jiu-jitsu have matches. Yeah. That's first. But like, how, like, obviously in a movie and stuff like that, the movements are intensely choreographed to look as good as possible on a camera. Whereas like a lot of like jiu-jitsu can be like 2 dads out of breath, like one on their knees, one on their back, just like trying to like submit each other, and it just looks like the stupidest thing in the world. So it's like,
or another myth that comes to head from movies would actually be that you get time to reset. Both parties will
break evenly.
Will break. It's like
yeah,
mutual respect.
At that point the hood has been pulled over the back of the jumper and someone's grabbing a wheel brace at the same time.
The hotel room is racked. We had a good hustle. Mutual 5 seconds of looking at each other, respect, resetting back in again.
Yeah, and then doesn't happen. Go again. No, I'd imagine that's out the window.
What type of person struggles the most when they first start jiu-jitsu?
Type of person? That me as a 17-year-old, like somewhat like maybe conscious or like smaller in frame and stuff like that. Smaller in size. I don't want to say like a. Well, I don't want to belittle anyone and be like, oh, software engineer or desk worker, because like the 2 best people that I train with are software engineers and desk workers. But like the people who have the advantages are generally like fucking bricklayers, GA players, rugby players, stonemasons, mechanics, do you know what I mean? Plumbers, people that like manual work with their hands, do you know what I mean? So that when it comes to like putting hands on someone or gripping someone, that it's like, you can feel their strength, versus someone who may not have that like experience of like I have in the past like shook hands with someone and it just felt like that their hand wasn't there, that they hadn't actually ever learned how to shake hands. Do you know what I mean? It's like that it's just not that it's like a bad handshake or whatever, but it's just like that there is no power from the hand. And it's like when that comes to jiu-jitsu, then you're kind of like, you're gonna like this, you can do this, like your muscle is meant to like contort here, like you can do that to grab something tighter, like. And then
you get them old men that near enough break your hand and shake it.
It's unreal. Yeah, like literally, like the strongest people I've met are like our bricklayers. Like,
do you think every man should learn a martial arts?
it's very presumptuous for you to assume that I'm going to admit that I have a definition of what a man is on a podcast in 2026. What is your definition of a man? We won't know. I'm only.
You know what? I was actually going to say something stupid. I just caught myself. I was like, do not. No.
We've got a live mic.
Yeah.
Should every man learn a form of martial art?
Do you think it's good for the ego? Good for the. Good to humble you.
I think it can be good for your ego, but at the same time, like the people who don't suffer from imposter syndrome, who will go away from that saying like, he only won because I wasn't allowed to eye gouge him.
Or would it be a mad world where every man you had a fight?
Yeah, or it's just like, oh yeah, that I'd be out of a job. You know what I mean? That's a terrible idea. But it's like, okay, you only bet me because we were in a padded room and you got to start on the ground. If I was allowed to eye gouge you, you wouldn't have done that to me. That person is forgetting that I would also be allowed to eye gouge them. Yeah. And I have the other side of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, if I had been able to punch you, and it's like, yeah, but we weren't fighting. We were doing a sport that we both agreed where nobody's allowed to punch.
By the rules.
You perceived it to be a fight. So your ego has not allowed you to realize what this thing actually is here. Do you know what I mean? So it's like...
It's a combat sport.
Yeah, like, if my counter to that would be like... I don't want to be like, should every man do it? Like, I think it's very disingenuous when like martial arts or anything is like offered as like a self-defense thing for women, and like do a course of X, Y, or Z and you'll be able to learn how to defend yourself. I don't think anything is like egregious in their marketing like that anymore. I don't think that actually happens, but like more girls doing it would be good in their sense. Do you know what I mean? Of being like, it is an incredibly male dominated sport. I know like there are gyms in Ireland that are like either co-owned or fully owned by females, instructed by females. Some of the best like athletic results and experiences that we've got in jiu-jitsu have come from girls who train in Ireland and stuff like that. The first ever world champion was a girl from the north called Kiefer McGill. She won the Blue Belt Worlds in Brazil in like 2006 or 2007 or something like that. Do you know what I mean? She got to purple belt, has kids, family, doesn't train anymore.
Oh, really?
Do you know what I mean? All of this sort of stuff. Yeah. So like, to be like, I'd love to sit here as an advertisement for my own personal financial gain and be like, every man needs to try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at least once. It's like, there's a very funny cliche like, oh man, Jiu-Jitsu is for everyone. It's like, but not everyone is for Jiu-Jitsu. In theory, everyone can do Jiu-Jitsu.
See, online makes it look like that, like it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Or everyone should do it.
Everyone could try it.
Yeah.
But not everyone is going to be for it, and that's fine.
Right, final two, and then I'll let you get home. We're almost here. Cool. What do you wish more people understood about BJJ that isn't normal?
That it is.
You may have covered this.
Yeah, I think that they'll understand that it's inherently difficult, but to have the foresight that it's going to be worth it, like, or to actually believe in themselves how good they could be. Like, maybe I didn't believe enough when I was younger, or maybe I didn't take it as seriously enough. And it's not my place to do it. But having had the life experience that I had, like the night work and different work and stuff like that and whatever, that now at the age of 33 that I'm starting to get some form of stability with my work and with my employment and stuff like that, and teaching and training and stuff. And previously I had none. It's fucking worth taking the year or two out to train full time.
Oh, really?
Do it. Like, people want, like, I believe the hardest thing will be navigating 14 and 15 year olds through an ability who've trained from 8 is getting them to 18 or 19 now, to avoid like wrong crowd, drink, drugs. College can be good, but like, I teach someone who is in Belfast for college but trains twice a day, gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, trains in the morning, trains at night, goes to college during the day, comes home at the weekend, trains Friday night with us, Saturday with us, Sunday with us, back up to Belfast. Like,
that's dedication.
Okay, now it took him a while to get to that.
Yeah.
The first year in college he wasn't like that. That's fair enough. So what I would love to be able to do, and I would love to be able to help facilitate that in the future, or help people with this, is to like shake them and say like, college is fine, go through that experience. If there's an option to defer it, to break a year, if your parents aren't going to kick you out on your hole and tell you need to start making money and you need to start doing this, and you can tolerate the idea of living broke, of understanding what that is, that like you do a job that you don't particularly like, you might have to peel spuds, you might have to clean up vomit from the floor, you might have to clean toilets, but it gives you the allowance to do what you want with the rest of your day and the rest of your time. Like, I think I'd love to see more people try and do that. And I can say this broadly speaking on a podcast, but it would be the most irresponsible thing of me in my life as a coach to do, to say it to someone directly one-to-one. Do you know?
Right.
So if somebody enjoys it and somebody thinks that they can do it and they want to try it, there's people being homeschooled in America who are training 6 hours a day. You training once every 2 days is not going to do it at home. You're going to have to commit and jump off the deep end and do it for a year and see where it takes you, and then make your decision. Just go back and do whatever you're doing if it doesn't work out.
Well, that's it. I think we live in a no-field.
Might be a bit irresponsible there. Yeah.
No, I think we live in a no-field society. There's too many sort of safeguards and stuff. Like, you can't really feel like if my business doesn't work out tomorrow, go on the dole. You know, the dole's hurt. Like, it's stupid to say, but
Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, like if mom and dad won't let me live with them, there's like what do you call it? Not executive housing. Is it executive housing? There's executive housing stuff. You might have to apply for it and wait to get into it, but government's going to pay for that.
Yeah.
You know, like you really can't fail to the point where you're going to die. You'll be all right.
Write this down.
Just
In
in
case this doesn't work out. Write this down for later.
But
That's exactly. He said executive housing. Do you have that? Executive.
take a note, sir. But no, like same you say with BJJ. Like if you take a year out to do it, what's the worst happens? You start your college a year later.
Oh well, I crucial injury and you're never able to train again. But apart from that,
Apart from that, yeah.
Yeah,
But you start your life a year later. People take a year out to go traveling. You know what I mean? Same thing.
yeah,
Uh,
going to find myself.
in Bali.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going to find myself in Bali.
Yeah. All you found was Bali Belly. Right, last one. What do you wish more people understood about you?
About me.
Yeah. Let the weird out.
What do I wish more people understood about me? What do I wish more people? So does that mean like assuming that I don't just tell them? What do I wish more people understood about me?
It's a pretty broad question, like, so you can go anywhere with it.
Yeah, don't know. I don't know. Just that I appreciate. Like
Or would you be an open book? You say?
No, like I've talked here for 3 hours and I will probably have regretted some of the stuff that I said, because I feel like it's you and me having a conversation as opposed to people who could listen to this back.
That's what it's meant to be.
That's kind of happened to me before, and I'm okay with that. I think that having gone through, like we talked briefly about, like say addiction therapy and addiction issues and stuff like that, having gone through that, like you're kind of better to like, look, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. Sometimes things are going good till it's not going good. And then you have two choices. You can either fix something and make it better, or it's going to keep getting worse. And whatever you think rock bottom is, unfortunately, it's like a comical, and I don't believe that I was ever particularly there, but to a degree I probably was. There's always like a comical wooden floor that's about to break, and then the person falls down to the next level, and then the next level, and the next level, a trap door, a booby trap, and then you're like, oh no, whatever. So like with that, I do feel like I'm a relative like open book. If somebody talks to me like in person, like I would probably, to my detriment, slag the wrong person about the wrong thing or whatever, and mention the wrong thing. And to me, I think like, look, either like and appreciate that or you don't. And if I want to be like appreciative and honest, like like through meeting you, we were able to do, like, I was able to get these t-shirts, I was able to get jumpers and stuff like that, and you had said to me, you were like, people like would do this sort of stuff and they would not sell that many.
You done very well.
But I sold far more than we probably would have thought. And I was like, fuck, like, how nice is that people just want to give you a dig? They just want to help you. Do you know what I mean? Now, the quality's fantastic and the printing hasn't faded. And the jumpers are lovely as well. And there will be more coming soon. But the whole thing is that, like, I would hope that people pick up on a genuineness of me being like I'm talking about, like, say, facilitating jiu-jitsu, being reliable, dependable, you can count on me, sort of thing. Like, I'm going to be there at this time, we're going to train at this time, whatever. You can be inadvertently a stability that could be quite important in somebody's life, and you'd never need to know about it. I don't need to know about it. Like, I just know that it could be for somebody. Do you know what I mean? So that's the important thing for me. Like, I'm like, I suppose that'll be it. What do you think people should know more about?
Is he going to speak? All I've got's a shoulder shrug.
No, he's gone. He's gone. He's left the building. Left the building. Yeah. So yeah, just to underline, bold, italic, underline, Comic Sans, font size 48. At that point, that like
my logo.
Comic Sans. There we go.
Can't afford a sign, so
no bold or italic, but it's close enough. Just that, like, I can sound like one of these self-help wanker podcasts with dramatic music rising up through the background.
No music here.
This is how you... It's like, just, you appreciate that something that I had done for so long with no definitive knowledge that it could become a thing has now become a thing that is relatively, as long as people want to keep learning, keeping me secure, fed, watered, stuff like that, is like very much a blessing. I know I could be doing something I don't like, and as you say, if something doesn't go wrong, you can always go and do that. But the fact that I get to do something I enjoy every day, really enjoy every day, and then try and make other people enjoy that as well, that's like cheat code. We've got it.
Tony Robbins' quote is, the secret to happiness in life is giving, not receiving. So, but in terms of like self,
what's Tony Robbins into?
What's he know, like, you know what I mean? But like, if you teaching and giving.
Who is Tony Robbins? I know the name.
Just some guy.
Is he famous?
He says the odd good thing.
That's me being disingenuous. I know the name. He could be.
Oh, do you actually not know, really?
I just need to pick him out in the lineup. I know the name, Tony Robbins. I just need to pick him out in the lineup. He's a
self-help guru, like multi-billionaire, runs massive seminars, like really, really good, like mindset. And if he sat and talked to you here now, he'd probably make the two of us cry and realise stuff we didn't know about ourselves.
Yeah.
Like one of those dudes. But one of his quotes is like the secret to life.
Men will really do anything to avoid therapy, won't they?
They will.
They'll pick these idols. Here. And actually, no, I'm not even saying. I genuinely, I know the name. I've definitely come across him.
Well, look at me. I've started a full podcast to get out of therapy.
To do it, yeah, perfect. Do you know what I mean? We've done it.
Speaking of podcasts,
yeah.
Before we go, consistently above average.
It's not worth listening. This is directly to camera. It's not worth listening to. It's called Consistently Above Average. It is largely around the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Sometimes I'll veer off into other things. I'll rarely interview guests. It's called Consistently Above Average. It's not released on a consistent schedule and timeline. It should be released on a Friday. I sometimes do it on a Thursday. There'll be no episode tomorrow and there hasn't been for the last week and a half. But my plan is, especially after seeing this being here, I want to develop it a lot more this year to just talk to people within the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community, to talk to people who own gyms around the world, to talk about how people train, to talk about competitions. And I am incredibly limiting the niche of what that podcast could be. But sometimes I'll talk about what might have happened on that date in history, or talk about something funny that happened to me when I was getting a flat white. So if you don't do jiu-jitsu and you've enjoyed this, I'd recommend listening to the intro and the outro of my actual podcast, and then skip the bit about the sport, the martial art that you don't understand. And buy the merch.
I can vouch it's good quality.
Yeah, buy the merch.
If someone like myself who's not into the sport, if you had to pick one episode for someone to pick up and listen as an intro to who you are and what you do at the podcast, what would it be?
I did an episode recently where I pretended that I got a solicitor's letter from the owners of High Rocks because I did one particular episode criticizing the sport. Not that particular one you just mentioned. I purposely called it Hydrox for the whole episode. And I rage baited a load of people into messaging me saying, like, you're calling it the wrong. It's actually called Hyrox, not Hydrox.
You do like a little rage bait though.
And I was like, I'm aware. I did that on purpose. So I did a whole episode talking about people who do Hydrox. And then 2 weeks later, I did a fake apology. Like as if it was coming from a solicitor's letter. And a lot of people thought that I was getting sued by Hyrox. And that was good. So maybe the episodes about Hydrox would be good ones to listen to, actually.
There you go.
I'd recommend that one. Hydrox.
Make sure you spell that
I
correctly.
I asked ChatGPT this earlier on, but maybe I've been in discussions, I've been in the lab. I am considering my next consistently above average launch to say hybrid rock star, because that's what Hyrox is implied that you are. You're a hybrid rock star. And it doesn't look like it's a copyrighted phrase at the moment, so I probably could release a t-shirt with that on it. But we'll talk. My legal people will contact your legal people.
Thursday next job.
And we'll see what we're going to do.
Oh, well, Andrew, it's been great talking to you. I am going to say this is definitely my longest ever podcast.
Cut most of it.
Probably pushing 3 hours here. If you've got through to the end, you've got this far, please like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. It helps me keep having great conversations with people like Andrew.
I feel so embarrassed for keeping you this long. Let's go, Ben. We're out of here.
What a sad note to leave on.
What a sad little life, Jane. You have all the grace and decorum of a reversing dump truck.
Oh, but thanks for coming down.
Off my property.
Let's just leave. Right.